Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hey, how's everybody? Hi, Murtech. It's great to be here. It's good to see you guys. Good afternoon. It is a new week, Monday. Okay, hey, housekeeping. We're off Friday. Just going to put it out there. I sent a message to our Rumble friends because I had forgotten to do that. We're off on Friday. Joe and I are going fishing. Brock is going to go and do something fun. Brock is going to get a day off. Right?
I'll be $4 poorer, but
I know, it's so exciting. Now he can't bitch as much as he does, which is super exciting to me. Oh, I'll still bitch, he says. What's going on? How's everybody? What are you doing? It's good to be with you. Hi, Truth Saber. Hi, Tina Hargrove.
Which definitely means there's no weekends with Wendy this week.
No, we'll be traveling.
Probably not a pet show this weekend.
Right. Hi, Rob V. Hi, Darius. How are you? What's going on, Grubby and Team 1717? Hello, Razorback. 1955, mother of 9. I hope not. But if you are, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Wow.
That is fantastic. Oh, thank you. Thank you guys for being here. So delighted. So I think Friday, we actually ended up number 4.
Really?
Before everything shifted around, I think we did really well. And we did not have great numbers, but because of you and your comments and your chitter chatter and everything. Okay, I need help. Does anybody know Timothy Brooks?
Uh-oh.
Timothy Brooks, this is yours. This is your mugs. These are your mugs.
Yeah, we cannot find you in the system.
I cannot find you. I've tried. The address you put in is not working. And I've emailed him twice and he's not responded. So Timothy.
It's an EAS alert for Timothy Brooks. Lost.
Timothy Brooks, who's from Rosenberg, Texas. You know who you are.
Yeah.
WendyBellRadio@gmail.com.
Or WBRBrock@gmail.com.
I want to get this to you. It's sitting on my desk and I'm like, Then I was worried that maybe something happened to him. And so I Googled his name.
Is he still alive?
Yes. Okay. I searched. I know. I searched. I went obituaries.
Did you go obituaries?
Yes,
wow.
Yes. I would have felt so bad. But then I got it in my mind and I'm like, I've got to find out. Is he okay? Like total radio silence. Like I'm used to men ignoring me. But seriously, 2 emails and one was shouting. I'm like, pay attention to me. You know how it goes. What's going on, everybody? What's the story of the day? What's the story of the weekend? Kind of hard to know. It's been peculiar. You've got a war going on with Iran. You've got this war going on Capitol Hill over the Department of Homeland Security and all of that nonsense. You have John Federman, who's like the only guy who can save the Democrat Party. And yet the knives are out from the deep staters who want to get rid of him, right? It's crazy, but really there's no number one pervasive story that I've found. How about you, Brock? Is anything like pulsing, like your heart's pounding for something and you're like,
no.
Yes. No, I don't have
I told you what the only thing I want for Christmas this year
is Fauci in cuffs.
Yes.
In 2025, the cancer research global spend, $350 billion. Think about that. Research cancer, $356 billion. That's crazy. Big Pharma's cancer drug revenue increased by 70% over the last decade. And I think you and I know why. Meantime, cancer rates in people under 50 have doubled. Whether it's because of the vaccines, our lifestyle, the environment, one thing is clear, we still don't have affordable or effective treatments. This is where the wellness company steps in to help you with your own health and help you own your health. The gold standard parasite cleanse, which is ivermectin and mebendazole, has shown success in triggering cancer cell death, which wakes up the immune system and initiates an immune response while stopping blood supply to tumors and halting metastases. Unfortunately, mainstream doctors and pharmacies won't prescribe these medications. The wellness company will. You can order it right from your home, USA compounded, doctor prescribed ivermectin and bebendazole, designed to help the body eliminate parasites with proven off-label cancer-fighting benefits. Each bottle contains 90 capsules, enough to complete 4 21-day cleanses. Fill out a quick intake form. Doctor reviews it. Your medical-grade parasite cleanse arrives in a week. The wellness company understands what medical freedom means. Go to twc.health/Wendy. Use my name, Wendy, to save 10% free shipping. So TWC, the wellness company, twc.health/Wendy, promo Wendy. Thanks for being here. Look, that stuff, that cleanse is the real freaking deal. It's the real deal. 4 of them. Get it for your family.
Hey, in the comment section, I'm curious. If you could choose one person to go down this year, just one, who would it be? Put it in the comments so I can read it later.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America. Greetings and good afternoon, all of you. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. Common sense conservative values delivered by a mom. You know, that sounds comfortable because it should be. We tell you the truth. We tell you what's going on. And we also pay attention to what people are not talking about. So it seems as though over the last several hours, specifically in the last 2, it looks like this president is winding down war in Iran, and we're going to talk about that. This is not the news the deep state wants. These are not the developments the left is hoping for. They want $300 a barrel gas. They want you miserable. They want the airport lines ridiculously out the door. Well, we're going to talk about all of it. WendyBellRadio.com is how you follow along. I hope you do. The whole thing's 3 hours on live streaming broadcast, so I hope you join in. Thank you for being here and welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Well, it was kind of a busy weekend for at least part of my family, my husband Joe and I, and our youngest 2 sons, twins, Bobby and Chris, 17 seniors in high school. This is the spring soccer season, ladies and gentlemen, and though high school is over, they play for a travel team that, as competitive as they may or may not be, these are not going to be like scholarship athletes in college. Nobody's going to the Olympics. But they all enjoy being outside. They enjoy being together, and they enjoy staying fit. And so this team, kind of an offshoot of one of those more expensive teams that sounds like a great academy to learn from, and then you realize it's just a money-making business. So all these families banded together. We dumped out of this other club, started a new one, and traveled this weekend to Annapolis, Maryland to play in the soccer tournament. I think we had traveled the furthest away. We saw some people from Virginia, Maryland, DC, et cetera, et cetera. But this is really it for our kids. And Joe gets home from work and we're in the car with the kids in the back. And these are big boys. We're driving on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, ridiculously overpriced road, but we'll talk about that some other time. And we're driving along and I look back in the rearview mirror and it was almost like it was yesterday that I remember driving in that same sort of situation, except Bobby and Chris were in their little car seats, right? Toddler seats. And they were both zonked out with their mouths open. You know that that look that you make on a plane or in a car when you're asleep. That's what they do. And I looked back in the rearview mirror at my sons. And I looked over my shoulder at them, just big boys. And I was like, wow, this is it. It's the last one. And I know Joe's listening to music and we're listening to whatever we're listening to. Maybe it was basketball, whatever it was. And I'm in another universe. It's the last one. We get to the hotel the next day. We have 2 games, one at 10 in the morning, one at 8 at night, which is unfortunate. But the team has 2 captains, and it just so happens that both are my kids. It's interesting, too. Bobby's a captain because he's an offensive pain in the neck. He's a threat, a striker, a goal scorer, and a playmaker, along with other boys on the team. But Chris, he's the defender. He's the brick wall. He's the center back. He pays attention to everything that's going on. And I was looking at my boys. Chris has got to be pushing 6'5". Bobby's 6'3". It's not a tall boys sport, to be honest with you. And these boys just kind of stand out like sore thumbs on the field. And I just sat there in just amazement watching these kids. Like, this is it. There's not going to be any more road trips, There's not going to be any more reason to take these sojourns on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. And I was in another dimension. It was beautiful weather. And I watched my son Chris in the backfield as he stood up on a kid who gave an elbow to one of Chris's teammates. My son stood up and pushed the kid, pushed him down, and the ref came over. He was ready to give him a card, and there was a conversation. And I watched my son towering over these other people. He explains very rationally his point. Put your elbow in my defender's nose again, and I will kick the bejeebers out of you, period. It's not a threat. It's a promise. And the ref tries to settle it down. Chris isn't a hothead. And he nods his head and understands what the ref is saying. They proceed to play their game. No more problems. When things started to get a little dicey, Chris stepped forward. I was looking at him. I'm like, I've got one captain who's in the front of the team, trying to score goals, trying to make moves, trying to create plays, trying to kick the ball to open space. And I have a brick wall on the backside here, holding down the fort, making sure nobody encroaches on his defense, making sure nobody scores. And I was in a whole different world, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes you need somebody to stand up who's bigger than everybody else, who doesn't need to show you what he could do, but whose threat of that happening is enough for you to say, yeah, you know what, maybe I'm not going to chance it. I'm not going to really push that envelope. Because if I do, my face is going to be on the losing side of that. I don't think so. We've got that in this president right now as I'm watching. What did he say on Friday? He's like, look, Iran, I'm going to absolutely obliterate your power grid. You have 48 hours to get your crap together and figure out what you're doing with the Strait of Hormuz. Because if you're going to continue to terrorize the shipment of oil and the tankers through that 20-mile wide strip, we're going to have issues and we're going to blast you into the middle of next week. You're not going to be able to rebuild. You're going to lose the $10 billion that you spent building it. You're not going to be able to survive. It will be the finishing blow, like Chris to the other guy. I wouldn't do that. I don't advise that. It's likely not going to end well on your behalf. And much like that player on the opposing team, Iran listened to this president and they apparently called him. Now, it's kind of hard to call from Iran, isn't it? Because they've blown out all of their infrastructure. There's no like Verizon, reach out, touch somebody. It's very complicated. And now President Trump has hit pause for 5 days on any offensive strikes on that power grid, giving the time for Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and others to negotiate in person with Iran, whomever the structure of leadership is there. And the president hinted at this today. They do have a structure in Iran, and we're working with them on that structure. We want them to survive. But when you have been captured by darkness, by an evil, tyrannical slice of your population, right? It doesn't end well. We're seeing this here, ladies and gentlemen. President Trump has been a threat to the deep state since the very beginning. But what he has been doing amid all of their warfare, all of their lawfare, all of their attempts to destroy him, and they made it personal because they went after his family. President Trump told everybody, not now, not while I'm here. This ends now. This is where we are as the president postpones strikes on this nuclear, or on this power plant, I should say, Iranian power plant for 5 days amid peace talks. Think about what the left is doing. You've got Trump sending in ICE agents into airports to assist with transportation security administration. They need the help. He says, take off the masks. I'm seeing some video of ICE guys in the airport wearing masks. Take off the masks. This isn't what it's about. It's about expediting travel. It's about easing the backlog. It's about the Strait of Hormuz, getting oil through. It's about unsanctioning 140 million barrels of Iranian oil that sits on tankers in the ocean. And President Trump says, sell it, get it on the market. If the money goes back to Iran, to whomever the power structure is there, that's small potatoes compared to what it is to the rest of the world. President Trump isn't just looking at this in terms of his survival, in terms of his family, in terms of just America. It's about everybody. It's about being on the backside, being the defender, being the brick wall on your team, and realizing that if everything in front of you goes haywire, if everything else goes wrong, if you are the last man standing, it will be over your dead body that your team will lose. That is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. So, from one proud mom who will never be at another soccer tournament again, which absolutely breaks my heart. Go team. Go America. This war is about to be over, ladies and gentlemen. Then what are they going to bitch about? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, the president sending ICE to the airports today. We'll talk about how that's going next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Okie dokie. So I'm super pumped. Let's see that we have Ghost Bed back. I am super excited to have ghostbed.com/Wendy. You guys are going to get a nice discount here. Ghostbed.com/Wendy, promo code Wendy. They already have their lowest prices of the spring season. You get an extra 10% off by using my name. It seems totally counterintuitive that you would buy something you'll spend a third of your life, ostensibly if you're lucky, lying on top of, being comforted by. How do you just randomly roll the dice on something online that has such a consequential impact? This is what's great about GhostBed. They walk through all of their layers of product. They have different kinds. If you like things that are firm, if you like things that are softer, if you want more of a pillow top, if you need something that's more of a hybrid or a therapeutic, they've got all this. And the owner of the company is a guy who's had gnarly back and neck problems. This guy's had multiple operations, could never rest comfortably. And he's like, I'm done. I'm going to make my own mattress made in the USA, family oriented, family business, 100%, 101 sleep night guarantee. Get it? Have it delivered to your house, open it up, right? Let it fluff, give it 24 to 48 hours to get to maximum potential, and bada bang. If you don't like it after 101 nights, get in touch with them, full refund. Ghostbed.com/Wendy. My name, Wendy, 10% off. I think you're really going to enjoy it. I love mine, and it's the hybrid. It's lovely, and these are not break the bank $4,000 mattresses. I don't know how they do it, to be perfectly honest with you. Literally, I'm like driving on the Pennsylvania Turnpike with tears in my eyes. I'm like, I really hope nobody pays attention to me, because this is borderline therapy. I need therapy. I need a good counselor, an intervention. Who out there wants to intervene? Right? Whew. You got to love Elon Musk too. He's like, let's go. I'll pay for their salaries, TSA agents. I love it. What's wrong?
Uh-oh. AC just kicked on.
Shucks. Twitter feed title as they stamp on this President Trump truth. The radical left Democrats have hurt so many people with their vicious and uncaring ways. You know, what if John Federman represents what used to be the Democratic Party? What if there is a much broader contingency of John Federman style Democrats? They might be liberal. They might have some ideas on some social stuff that you and I don't agree with, but they're not complete crazy people, right? We can admit that they've taken a left turn, have wandered off into the wilderness a little bit, but they're not lunatics, because the progressive wing of this party that President Trump is correct about calling uncaring, they don't care who gets caught in the crossfire. Whether it's thousands of people killed on 9/11 or it's hundreds of people killed on Lahaina trying to get away from an inferno, whether it's hundreds of people washed away in North Carolina or Tennessee from flooding, whether it's hurricanes, bridges, it's like there's this weird not caring thing going on the left. It's this callous disregard for just basic decency. Like, I don't hate anybody to the degree that I would take joy in their suffering, that I would wish something terrible to befall them or someone they love. When you cross into that world, I believe you've taken one step too far. And I don't know how you come back. I don't know how you come back. Trump wrote, the radical left Democrats have hurt so many people with their vicious and uncaring ways. What they have done to the Department of Homeland Security, our fantastic TSA officers, and most importantly, the great people of our country, is an absolute disgrace. He's right. It is a disgrace. How do you stand up and claim that you're for anything logical and rational and American when you know your actions are screwing over 250,000 American families, the lion's share of which live paycheck to paycheck? And this is the third time in one administration that your way of negotiating with the party in power is to hold other people and their livelihoods hostage. What is wrong with you? This is that chasm. This is that weird fissure where you begin to see the deep state from the Democrats. John Federman is not deep state. He's old school, smattered with a little bit of pro-weed, and I don't really care much about abortion, like you should do what you want to do as a woman. But by and large, this guy is not radical. His party has been hijacked. President Trump is right to call it out. He says if the Democrats do not allow for just and proper security at our airports and elsewhere throughout our country, ICE will do the job far better than ever done before. The fascist Democrats will never protect America, but the Republicans will. Do you think that the Democrats see this and understand this? Because in every TSA line, trying to get through airport security, whether you're going to a wedding, you're going on spring break, you're taking your family on a vacation, you and your wife are retiring, somebody has died and you're going to the funeral, every single person standing in that line knows damn well who's in charge of it, knows damn well who caused it. That there's not a tip jar for the TSA agents is ridiculous, and that there's not a voter registration drive for the Republican Party is also ludicrous, because you would clean up. And what do the Democrats say about having ICE agents? Debbie Dingell, right? People are going to be intimidated by the ICE agents. They're not going to be willing to fly. Well, that's good. That's less room for all of us, less space that they're taking. And by the way, if you're afraid of immigration's officers, it's probably because you're here illegally, Debbie. You numbskull. But of course, they know this. They know this. They know we know this. They know we're on top of it. Now you've got Elon Musk, and he's like, you know what? Here's the deal. I'm the world's richest man. I believe in airport security. I believe in the Coast Guard. I believe in funding the Secret Service, which is just moderately important right now as we're involved in a war with the state sponsor of terror in Iran. Maybe we should fund these people. Maybe I can pay for it. Elon Musk says, let's go. Elon Musk saying this weekend he would be willing to pay the salaries of TSA agents during the Homeland Security shutdown, as President Trump suggested the possibility, and they are there, ICE at the airports, a shutdown causing chaos for travelers. When is it not chaos for you? When does it not cost you? Whether it's taxes, whether it's your mental state of being, whether it's your time. And these clowns in Congress, you know what they do when they've got to catch a flight somewhere? They bounce to the front of the line and get a personal escort through by TSA. I say they should suck it and get stuck in the back of the line. No extra treatment. You caused it. You suffered it. Stand here with us and let us despise you as we wait endlessly. This is where we are, and the president is right in calling it out. Cruel Democrat Party. Now, there are two things going on. Obviously, you've got the war with Iran. You've got this DHS thing. Well, actually, more than that. You've also got the Save America Act. How the Democrats want to weave everything together to sink it all and put the blame on Trump. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. This Air Canada thing is freaking batty. Batty. So a deadly accident at LaGuardia. Jet collides with a fire truck. The two pilots of the Air Canada, which I believe is like, there's a subsidiary that's controlling it, but it's in their plane. The two pilots are dead. And I guess now they're saying an air traffic controller or somebody was saying, oh no, I messed up. I'm sorry. Right? What are we doing? All right, let's talk. By the way, I needed to read this to you. I'm sleeping better on my ghost bed. It also helps. I have my ghost bed mattress. It's the hybrid. It is very comfortable, not too hard, not too soft. I feel the difference. Thank you very much for that. Of course, I did not write their name down, which would have been too logical. Sorry. Anywho, Guys, let's talk. What do we want to talk about? The response that we have had from Tulip Blooms has been lovely. And I will say that if you use the velour massaging oil, tulipblooms.shop/Wendy, this is some of the nicest moisturizing oil that dissipates after about 5 minutes. Put some on your hands, rub it on your feet, put on socks, put your feet up for about 5 minutes. Oh my gosh. Put it on your hands. Don't touch anything for 5 minutes. Let it absorb. It takes away that dry cuticle, any of the like chafing dryness from the wintertime with your fingers, all of that, elbows, anything that's rough that needs to be softened up. Yeah, it's called massaging oil, but it's the most amazing moisturizer I've ever used. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. Thanks to all of you who've tried it. Remember, I want your testimonials. I want to know what you guys think about it. If you think it's as fantastic as I do, wendybellradio@gmail.com. I love when you do that. So thank you.
I sent you 2 texts.
Uh-oh.
The first one actually will fit the next segment. And the second one is apparently ICE agents will be at Pittsburgh International.
That's good. This is important. Well, it says it's at Pittsburgh. It's at Philadelphia.
In Pittsburgh.
Does it say that?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That's fantastic.
But you'll love what Justice Alito said. Read that.
Breaking. I just dropped it.
Oh.
So Sam Alito just said this in an oral argument about mail-in ballots. So justices are hearing a challenge about receiving mail-in ballots after Election Day. And so Alito says, we have lots of phrases that involve 2 words, the second of which is day, Labor Day, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Election Day. They're all particular days. So if we start with that, if I have nothing more to look at than the phrase Election Day, I think this is the day in which everything is going to take place, or almost everything. That's what is true. Stop trying to drag this out. He's right. He's calling it out. 100%. I was driving in this morning and I was listening to the president on Fox Business, and we're taking him live. I guess he's going to Memphis. I forget why he's going to Memphis, but he is. And and it's funny because when he talks and then there's that gaggle whenever he's like, and they try to, and all he does is open his mouth and it's like, and everybody's quiet. It's like, what? It's the most amazing thing. He commands all of them. He's the puppeteer. He's the actual puppeteer, which I think is fascinating. Hey, Get Native Path. I don't know if I've been talking to you guys enough about this desire I have to get more collagen. I had no idea that the most abundant protein in our body, collagen. After the age of 50, you've got like a dearth of it left. It's like my ovaries. They're all prunes now. Like, right? So you don't have collagen anymore, and it affects your skin, your hair, your nails. It affects your ligaments, your bones, all of this stuff. It is phenomenal for your gut. It's like the ultimate magic thing that we should be having. And this from Collagen Peptides from Native Path. GetNativePath.com/Wendy. This is like up to 45% off right now when you go there and get the collagen peptides. You do a scoop of this in something that you drink a day, whether it's with your Dr. Gundry or what have you, put in that. It's flavorless. It is odorless. It dissolves instantly. It's fantastic. And it's super important for us. The reason I did some research about it was I'm starting to get that weird, how women get that weird skin on their arms right here. And you're like, what is that? What happened there? Yeah. It's when you lose your collagen. So I got on the horn with Get Native Path and I'm like, you guys want to do something with me? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, I'm drinking your collagen every day. So 10 milligrams, you could go up to 20. You do more than that if you want. But getnativepath.com/Wendy. Collagen peptides up to 45% off just for us. It's like 50 cents a day. It's like nothing. and lasts a long time too. So I hope you try it. I really am interested in this. I got to be proactive. I'm on the flip side. I'm on the close end of 60 coming up. I know, right?
Old lady.
Shut up. That's so rude. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. It's so enjoyable to start a week with you. So thank you for being here. Wendy Bell Radio, if you haven't gotten our podcast, I hope you do. We're trying to get to 8 million downloads. You could be part of us breaking the internet, right? Okay, so what are we doing right now? Democrats, well, we got something coming up later that shows, well, there's no leader of the party. And if John Federman is correct, and I believe he is, their lack of leadership, their rudderless, path right now, the thing that is leading the Democratic Party is the Trump derangement. That's the overarching thing. It's not about what can we do to make anything better? What can we do to leave a mark, have a legacy, streamline something, make living this precious gift that we have better? It's about themselves. It's about power. It's about greed. It's about forever staying in office so that you and I can never make the changes that, by the way, 80 million people voted for. This is not rocket science, right? So we've got the Democrat Party in this morass, if you will. They're kind of in this quagmire, like oatmeal, quicksand, going nowhere quickly, but pissing off more and more Americans. I mean, they tried to beat the drum of the rising gas prices. Well, that's not going to happen for long. It's going to be a temporary blip. Unlike Janet Yellen, it's transitory. It actually will be. And this president is doing everything he can to offset the cost of gas, of fuel, of oil, right? You've got funding DHS, which is the sticking point, because why? Why do they hate so much this idea on the left of funding the Department of Homeland Security, which became a function of the federal government after 9/11, right? Even though machinations of it started percolating in the weeks prior to those terror attacks, which kind of makes you go, sort of like Event 201 prepping for a pandemic, like so odd that we would have a work session kind of fake pandemic training paradigm, right? So you got DHS. Why do they want to unfund or slash or stall the funding of the Department of Homeland Security? Well, we're going to talk about that because it's all about the voter rolls. This is why you've got all the Democrat states refusing to cooperate with the Department of Justice, because it is under the purview of the Department of Homeland Security that the voter rolls are maintained. That is where they are. That is the key to the kingdom for the Democrats, getting all of these illegals that they imported that you and I have paid for. And by some estimates, it's 15 million people during Joe Biden's tenure, guys. They need those people to make it to the finish line. It's their Hail Mary. It's their Doug Flutie. But beyond that, they need to stay, the Republicans do, they need to stay, and they need to stay put as long as it's going to take to get this Save America Act over the finish line. President putting out this over the weekend, he's like, look, I don't think we should make any deal with the crazy country-destroying radical left Democrats unless and until they vote with Republicans to pass the Save America Act. This is what the president truthed. It's far more important than anything else we're doing in the Senate. That includes giving these same terrible people, the Dems who are to blame for this mess, a $5 billion cut in ICE funding, a deal which, even when disguised as something else, is unacceptable to me and the American people unless it includes their approval of voter ID with picture, citizenship to vote, no mail-in voting with exceptions, all paper ballots, no men and women's sports, and no transgender mutilation of our precious children. Put it all together and also let Leader Thune clearly identify these few, quote, Republicans that are voting against America, they will never be elected again. In other words, lump everything together as one and vote. Kill the filibuster. Stay in D.C. for Easter if necessary. Make America great again. Okay, there you go. If anybody out there is somewhere on another plane, like, I wonder what the Republicans should be doing right now. Well, Scott Presler tells Senate Republicans, you know what? I'm going to echo what the president said. I don't know which one came first, but here's Scott Presler saying to Senate Republicans, for once, do the job that the American people expect you to do.
We are going to force the Democrats to tell the American people why they're against what 84% of Americans support. But I have a very nice, peaceful, but stern message to our Republican Senate, and I have a pitch for you. The Senate is supposed to go on recess from March 30th until April 10th. Republican senators, I'm asking you, forgo your Easter vacation. Forgo the trip with your family. Stay in Washington, D.C. Show that the Republican Senate caucus is banding together. You're going to be the adults in the room. You're going to be the leaders. Stay in Washington, D.C. until the Department of Homeland Security is fully funded and until the Save America Act is passed and signed into law by President Donald J. Trump. This is your opportunity to lead. This is your opportunity to show why we, the American people, gave you the majority. And this is your chance, a defining moment in history. So don't let this squander.
This is the moment. This is like my son on the line. I'm the brick wall. I'm defending this line. You will not break it. Have Republicans, they ever really done that? Have they ever really done that? Well, there's Senator Roger Marshall. He says, you know what? Nuke the filibuster. There's no negotiating with these people who realize that the math is not working in their favor. Listen.
Well, look, obviously I support the SAVE Act, and I would even nuke the filibuster in order to pass the SAVE Act. I want to point out that the Democrats did not allow us to even to vote for just voter ID by itself. And that's really what they're hiding behind, is that they don't want voter ID. They want to take, again, these 50 million non-citizens in America, give them voting rights, and influence the elections in that way. So the debate continues. We'll continue the fight. But just to be really frank, is we don't have 50 Republican senators that agree with me that we need to nuke the filibuster. And I certainly understand where they're coming from. The filibuster protects you when you're in the minority, and it certainly protects us small states that only have 3 or 4 Congress members in our case.
Have to ask, John Thune, isn't that your job? Your job is to get an aligned caucus. Your job is to talk to those who don't seem to understand what's at stake here, to wake the hell up. Well, Senator Mike Lee, he said over the weekend, the reason Democrats really want to defund the Department of Homeland Security, it's really not about ICE. It's not. It's about your voter rolls.
One of the many arguments I made, along with the fact that there is a connection between the Democrats' refusal to fund the Department of Homeland Security and the Save America Act. Because it's the Department of Homeland Security that oversees the database and the agencies that would make sure that our state election voter rolls don't include non-U.S. citizens.
There you go. Pretty basic. This is why they don't want the DHS funded. This is why the blue states refuse to cooperate. They can't risk coming this far and being this close to getting all of these millions of people across the finish line. They can't survive without it. Now, even Democrats, though, even lefties on television, Michael Smerconish, whatever the hell this guy's name is, on Democrats being to blame for screwing over the TSA agents. And by the way, says to Elon Musk, how nice that somebody out there is coming up with the workaround to get these people paid. This is a staunch liberal Democrat saying this. Uh-oh.
I do believe if you pushed me between one or the other, I would say it's the Democrats who have marginalized the TSA agents in this instance. And I think it's horrible the way in which they've been used, the TSA agents, as pawns. I flew twice this week and without incident. So it's not like I'm experiencing what they're experiencing in Atlanta and elsewhere. But I took a look at the dynamic. These are the people who are literally on the front line of protecting the country. Think Richard Reed, the shoe bomber. Number two, it's a very dank work environment. Would you do that job? Would you stand there for hours on end and that would be your employment? And three, they don't do it for much money. My so-called intern, Eric X, had the best idea. There ought to be a bucket at the front of every line right before you go through the conveyor belt. We all throw in a $5 and make sure that these people are covered and that they get to whack that up. Nobody would call in sick. Nobody. That would be such a great message for Washington, too. Like, you can keep screwing around. We, the American people, we're going to take care of these people. That's how it ought to end. And kudos to Elon Musk for being willing to write a check as well. I just think it's terrible and such a sign of our government dysfunction.
Yeah, well, Michael, I wonder what you think about Senator Dick Blumenthal saying ICE agents at airports will only aggravate delays in lines, disrupting checks, interrogating travelers, dragging parents from children, detaining citizens, brutalizing families, shooting, and even killing. Like, what? That escalated quickly, Dick. It sounds like you're a deep stater who is desperate. Here's Stephen Miller. I wonder, why do all the dead voters and illegals only vote Democrat? It's so weird. Stephen Miller with the exclamation point on why the blue states are so desperate to not cooperate with this administration.
At the beginning of this administration, we asked every state, red and blue, to share with us their voter rolls so that we could scrub it against the DHS file of illegal aliens to remove illegal aliens from their voter rolls. Every blue state refused. California refused. Minnesota refused. New York refused. In fact, they sued us to stop us from removing illegal aliens from the voter rolls, removing non-citizens from the voter rolls. That's not just the only thing. They don't want to get dead people off the rolls. They don't want to get felons off the rolls. They don't want to get out-of-state voters off the rolls. They don't want to get double and triple voters out of the count because they want the fraud. This is the most important issue, Sean, because the Biden administration brought 20 million illegal aliens into this country, and this is the way, the only way, to keep them from participating in our sacred democratic process.
100% correct. And we heard the president even say, look, if it's important, if we have to cut by $5 billion funding for ICE so Democrats will vote for the Save America Act, okay, we'll find a way to make it happen. Democrats rejected that. Every single day going forward until this thing happens, they're going to have to come out, Republicans are going to have to come out and say, okay, we offered this. They shot it down. We offered this. They shot it down. Until every single asleep Democrat realizes you're either on the right side of this or you're on the side where America is destroyed. I'm not exaggerating this. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, President Trump was right. He said Iran could develop long-range ballistic missiles, had them, could hit America. People were like, oh, that's ridiculous. There was no imminent threat. Oh, yeah, about that. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It's so vexing. It is hard to sit back and watch this. The process by which we have to painstakingly hear from Mike Lee and hear from these other senators and have them come out and say, this is what's happening now. It's like, it has to be constant and it's going to be exhausting. But the price to not get this across the finish line, the Save America Act, you'll never have elections that you trust ever again. We will never have elections that we trust ever again. Like, that's not worth it to me. The healthy fat, is it possible that you could drink something along with, what are we supposed to have, like 8 cups of water a day? I'd be in the bathroom 7 hours, right? But if you do and you are trying to drink more water because you know it's good for you, why would you not throw in a scoop of Dr. Gundry's MCT Wellness? This has been proven through Dr. Gundry's own research on himself. And he says thousands of patients over the last 20 years. That's how long this has been around. He has used this dietary supplement to trigger his own 70-pound weight loss. Total transformation. He has kept it off for 20 years by drinking this instead of a meal every day. MCT Wellness, you can get it by going to thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Crushes your cravings and your appetite. And I will say it keeps you full and not bothered by food or the thought of it for a good 5 hours. A good 5 hours. That allows you to bounce on a meal, eat a snack or something, nuts or whatever. And that's how the process begins. So significant weight loss at a slower pace, right? MCT Wellness, you can get it by going to thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. I just recently did, and there is a nice discount when you put in my name at the end. It's very affordable, and it's delicious. And I'm out, and I'm going to have to crank call my girl, or I'm going to have to get off the dime and buy it myself. I know. God forbid I should do that, right? All right. How's everybody? This missile thing is very scary. Ooh, 1.74. We're almost at 2,000. I'd like to be at 2,500, but 2,000 rumbles. That's that little thumbs up bubble underneath the video box. Hook me up, please. Brock, what's going on, babe?
Nothing.
Nothing? Well, we'll see. What's the over-under? When do you think this war with Iran's going to be over?
I don't know.
Ooh.
It isn't bad, isn't it? It's a very light flavor. It's not in your face. Yeah. Anywho.
Wow.
How do you think it's ever going to be over with Iran? Until they change leadership and to get rid of the theocracy and can you believe anything they say? You know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
I agree. I do agree. We have 5,000 watching. Hey, 5,500. Welcome. Honest to God, that's true. Why do we not have 2,500 rumbles? Oh, my heavens.
They're pissing off the whole Middle East, though, which is a good thing.
Yeah, Iran is really arcing everybody. Nobody's safe. Nobody's safe. Even their relatively docile neighbors in the Middle East are like, look, we don't want to have anything to do with you, nut jobs. And they're getting bombed. Like, oh, okay, really? Trump gave a job to in his White House, in his administration. This guy who bounced over to Tucker Carlson and said he was leaving Tulsi Gabbard's employ. He's going to leave the intelligence community because he just can't handle the Iran war. They did not have an imminent threat. They were not a danger to the world, right? President Trump is like, look, I felt bad for this guy. His wife was killed in 2019 in some terrorist attack. And then he loses 2 runs. He runs twice for Congress, loses both. And President Trump is like, I kind of feel bad for the guy. Like, let's see if we can give him a job. And then Joe Kent resigns after the FBI is investigating him for actually being a leaker, leaking secrets about this or that. And he's going to come up on that. They're going to have to take care of that. But President Trump earlier today, I heard him in his press conference as he's on his way to Memphis, where he's doing some safety seminar, some safety briefing about how they're changing, cleaning up the streets and what have you of criminals and danger. And he's like, look, I gave this guy a job and he lied and said Iran wasn't an imminent threat. Well, let's remember what President Trump said. This was February 24th of this year. So this is literally a month ago tomorrow. And this is Trump saying, this is several days before the launch of the Operation Epic Fury on Iran. He said very clearly this.
They've already developed missiles that can threaten Europe and our bases overseas, and they're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America. After Midnight Hammer, they were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, and in particular, nuclear weapons. Yet they continue. They're starting it all over. We wiped it out, and they want to start all over again, and are at this moment again pursuing their sinister ambitions.
And then, of course, 4 days later, President Trump and Operation Epic Fury begins. And some people on the left were like, what imminent threat? Iran, they were fabulous people. Really? Did you hear what happened over the weekend when whomever is desperately pulling the vestiges of the levers in that beleaguered and now war-destroyed country? They launched a long-range missile at Diego Garcia. Let's listen to Fox News saying, about that, where we were told that Iran doesn't have the ability to hit the United States, that Iran doesn't have the ability to hit many of its neighbors. Oh, about that. Yeah, they do.
One of the things we hear a lot about in these conflicts is an escalation ladder. And when Iran fired the intermediate range ballistic missiles at Diego Garcia that Trey mentioned, 4,000 kilometers from Iran, that was an escalation that not only stunned the U.S., but the entire world, because Iran had not publicly stated that they had anything that could go more than 2,000 kilometers. And yet here now we know they have two 4,000 kilometer range intermediate missiles that fortunately did not impact anything, but it's a warning. It's a message that they have these capabilities that they didn't publicly state. In fact, under President Obama's JCPOA, there was no restriction on Iran's missile capabilities. They said they weren't building it. Now we know. And what is the danger? Why is the world on notice? Because look, from Rome, Munich, Paris, London, Berlin, Oslo, all now within this radius, these capitals, and many of these capitals in these countries do not have the missile interceptor technology like we have and like Israel has. So should a nuclear-tipped intermediate-range ballistic missile be fired at one of these capitals, it could change the trajectory of humanity as we know it.
It's almost like the one person who wasn't stunned was the guy who's been telling you all along that they had the ability to do it. When has he honestly been wrong? When has this president put out a truth and said something that wasn't projecting, foreshadowing, predicting, warning, enter the word here that you wish? What was then going to happen hours, days, or weeks later? They spied on my campaign, Leslie. No, this is 60 Minutes. We can't just say anything. Go check it out, Leslie. Oh, yeah, about that. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is on tap. So, when Europe agrees to join a war, it usually means that the war has already been won. That's how it works. Listen to Victor Davis Hansen. Super interesting. Kicking off our second hour of the Wendy Bell radio program minutes away. Okay, so I talk about blood flow 7, right? So I take my Healthy Cell, I take my blood flow 7, I drink my Dr. Gundry's, but I've been running out of my Dr. Gundry's. And so when my friends at Juvenon sent me this Blood Flow 7 Nitro XXXL, I was like, that sounds pretty interesting. This is what it says. Nitric oxide booster helps maintain healthy blood pressure. Who out there is a little nervous about their blood pressure? A lot of people, right? It's a lot of people. Supercharge energy and stamina. Okay. Power up workouts and boost circulation to your legs and your feet. So now I take Blood Flow 7. This is what I enjoy. And I took it this morning. Bloodflow7.com changes your life. Changes your life. We've also started drinking this now until I can get more Dr. Gundry. It's delicious. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Use my name, Wendy30. 30% off anything in the store. That's significant. That's like the Alpha Gold Mail. 30% off. It's this, but for men, because it has to do with men's bodies and testosterone. Why wouldn't you want a partner like that, giving you something that's natural, nitric oxide, to open up your blood vessels so you have more blood flowing through your body? That's a big problem that I think my husband sees as a cardiologist. When you have blockages and you don't have blood flow, the results are horrible. You can't walk very far. You're easily winded. You don't have good color to your skin. You look like a dead man walking. And that's why it's so scary. Nitric oxide. Open up the blood vessels. Let's get it flowing. Let's drop your blood pressure. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy, Wendy30. Their products. I'm telling you, it's the real dealio. Are you going to go to the bathroom?
No.
Okay.
It's crazy. Breaking. I don't know how breaking it is, but insane. Atlanta International Airport is now saying travelers should arrive at least 4 hours before their flight. So I'm going to Connecticut this weekend to visit a college buddy. And if his dad is watching and his mom is watching, I expect a cheesecake or something. But it takes me 4 hours to get there. Now, if I was to fly, it's probably an hour flight tops. Why not just drive at this point? Like 4 hours? You're supposed to go 4 hours ahead of time? Plus the flight, plus the hassle of getting out of there. If it was me flying to Connecticut, I can drive there in 7 hours, or I can arrive 4 hours early, take an hour flight if it leaves on time. That's insane. 4 hours before a flight. Government needs to get their shizzle together. But I'm with Trump. Don't end this until they pass the SAVE Act. Make them pass the SAVE Act. I don't care if it inconveniences people. What's more of an inconvenience, your flight or not having elections that you can trust?
I agree. It's gonna come down to this monotonous back and forth, and it just simply cannot be monotonous. It has to be something that you and I are invested in hardcore until it passes. Like, it can't get old hat. It has to pass. And this president wants to sign nothing until it does.
Let's so say Republicans were supposed, Thune apparently met with Trump and said they're going to vote. Republicans were leaning to vote to fund everything except ICE. Well, all you ever hear about Democrats is leverage.
Mm-hmm.
This is your leverage. Pass this. This is common sense.
Yes.
There's no blowback. If you're a Republican, the only blowback you're going to get is if you don't vote to pass it. Period. And can we seriously just get rid of Lisa Murkowski? Let's just give her to the Democrats at this point.
Yeah, I don't get who she is, why she exists, like how the people of Alaska can't freaking rise up and take her down. Like, it's very vexing. I will say that. Hey, this is the time. Get in touch with Ireland Contracting, you guys. If you're in southwestern Pennsylvania and you've got old windows, you have leaks, you're noticing leaks, it's only a matter of time. We only get so many decades out of our roof, out of our windows, right? If it's now, get yourself a free, good for a year estimate from Ireland Contracting. They'll come out to your house and go over all of the different things, right? We'll give you new windows. What do you want? Do you want double hung? Do you want whatever? Casement, vinyl, wood? We got it. Roofing, Owens Corning, Platinum Preferred Roofer. Don't I know it? 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. You can trust them. You can trust them. So if I'd go to them, you can go to them.
Bourbon. Midnight Plum.
I know. I'm thinking it's more of a bourbon. I think the color I'm going to get is more of the bourbon. I'm pumped. Not really. Wow. 5,700. Look at you guys.
2:05 in the first hour.
It's great to be with you. Thank you for
your foot off the gas.
Thank you for putting us over the top there. We're trying to get to 3,500. We haven't hit We haven't hit 3 during the show in a while. What's wrong with you, people?
You people.
3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
They believe that they can destroy this bond that exists between you and Trump if they somehow make Trump look bad, make Trump look like a reprobate, embarrass you about Trump. They can't do it because you came before Trump. Desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain make America great again.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio Program is live. Look, we started this program several years ago with the basic premise that we believe common sense conservatism is far more popular and far more prevalent than you and I could ever imagine. And that when you promise to an audience, as we have for years, that we will not lie to you, you have the foundation of something very simple and very important: trust. I trust this president. Look, I trust that these ICE agents are going into these airports. What do we have now? Just in 13 airports now expected to receive ICE agents to assist in operations, including you've got ORD, that is Illinois. You've got Cleveland. You've got Atlanta, Houston, JFK, LaGuardia. Things at LaGuardia right now, a total mess with this accident, this plane, Air Canada plane, 2 dead. Just a mess. You got Louisiana, Puerto Rico, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh. You've got Arizona, and you've got RSW out of Florida. This is a big deal. You've got a president that sees what's going on, that realizes that what he wants to do, that needs to be done, that presidents long before him either were too weak or too, what do we want to say, corrupt, too complacent, too involved in the deep state, too entrenched in the deep state to ever honestly want to make a difference and never try to affect one. This president is like, no, I have a finite amount of time. We're getting it done. We're going to do this stuff with Iran. We understand it's going to have an impact on the world's oil supply. Not on America's problem, not on America's oil. We're energy independent, but all these other countries that rely on this. And he's like, look, we're not going to police the Strait of Hormuz. We're not getting oil from there. He put it out to the other NATO countries. He's like, hey, you guys, this is your oil. This is your supply. How about you step forward and do one of something to protect it? And they didn't. And so he blasted them. He's like, you know what? I don't need your help. But now I know who I can count on. And boy, oh boy, did those countries flip and scramble, right? Victor Davis Hanson is very interesting. He has spent decades of his life looking at the history of conflict, of war, and how places in the world like Europe will get involved only when they believe that it's a guaranteed victory. Right? So Victor Davis Hanson puts out this video and he's like, look, I've been studying this. This is how I know America has already won this war with Iran. And this was before Iran apparently phoned the president over the weekend and said, Mr. President, let's make a deal. Victor Davis Hanson.
There's enough evidence to see how things are really going. Europeans would never agree to go anywhere near Iran unless they thought the tide was turning and they think that we're going to win. Otherwise, they would keep still. And the reason that the petro nations of the Gulf survive is they have their finger in the wind and they're very attuned to the climate. And when you have Al Jazeera praising the United States bombing campaign and saying that it's been underestimated and it's brilliant and effective, you get the feeling that they think not only should the United States finish the job, but it can and will finish the job. And then when you start to see tactical aircraft like Warthogs and Apaches, that means that they're offering almost ground and sea support to hit targets. There's nothing, there's no defense at all when you have that type of aircraft flying at will in Iranian airspace. So you put it all together, and I think it's pretty clear that this rope-a-dope strategy that they have, that we're going to tire before they are, is dependent on just public opinion, the midterms in the United States. And if Trump sees it through, and I think he will, I think they're going to fall pretty soon.
And the president gives everyone timelines, right? Remember before the first hit last year on their nuclear capability in Iran, the president was like, look, we're going to try to tamp things down for 2 weeks. Remember when he said that? Let's see if everybody can kind of cool their jets then he blew them into the middle of next week, right? So the president says, I'm going to give you 48 hours, Iran. I'm going to give you 48 hours. And he said this, I believe this was on Saturday. If Iran doesn't fully open without threat, the Strait of Hormuz, within 48 hours from this exact point in time, very specific, the United States of America will hit and obliterate their various power plants, starting with the biggest one first, caps, right? Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Rings the phone. Hello, Mr. President. Do you have time for a chit chat? Ellen Dershowitz said something to Newsmax over the weekend to Lydia Curanai. She's great. She's a great host of theirs. And he's like, look, this war with Iran is literally preventing another Holocaust for the entire planet. Except this one is nuclear and everyone should be supportive of it.
This is the most important war since 1939, since Nazi Germany. If Iran is allowed to develop nuclear bombs, he will do what Hitler did. And there will be millions and millions of deaths. Had President Trump been in charge in 1935, 1936, I think the Holocaust would have been prevented. I think he would have gone in after Nazi Germany. He would have destroyed it the way he is destroying Nazi Iran, and the Holocaust would have been prevented. We're preventing another Holocaust, a nuclear Holocaust that Iran would clearly inflict not only on Israel, but on Europe. We now know that his rockets can reach Europe, and ultimately on the United States. So this is the most important war we have fought since the Second World War, and every decent person ought to join it. And the Democrats ought to join it in the United States, but they're not, because they're putting partisanship before national security.
Which is why the Democrat Party has knives out for John Federman. He's like country over party. It's not even a question. What is more important? To whom is your allegiance? This is Mark Rutte. He's the Secretary General of NATO, speaking with CBS's Margaret Brennan over the weekend on Face the Nation. Margaret's wearing more of her fecal fashions, if I'm not mistaken, looking very dour, as it feels like this whole conflict with Iran is going to be over faster than when it, really started. This is the Secretary General of NATO.
But Israel says these were intercontinental ballistic missiles that could hit Berlin, Paris, and Rome. Does NATO share that Israeli assessment?
We cannot confirm that at the moment, so we're looking into that. But if this would be true, it is the more evidence that what the president is doing here, taking out the ballistic missile capability, taking out the nuclear capability from Iran, is crucial. And exactly as the ambassador just said, Ambassador Waltz, we have seen with North Korea, if we negotiate for too long, you might pass the moment where you can still get this thing done. And North Korea now has the nuclear capability. If Iran would have the nuclear capability, including together with the missile capability, it would be a direct threat, an existential threat to Israel, to the region, to Europe, to the stability in the world. So the president doing this is crucial. And I've seen the polling, but I really hope the American people will be with him, because he is doing this to make the whole world safe.
And by the way, when has he let you down? How about that? Should we have a conversation about that? When has this president let you down? When has he told you he was going to go do something and then you were like, man, that was a bad idea? This is another truth over the weekend, and this is bad news to the deep staters who need something to try to point a finger at President Trump for. He writes this: we're getting very close to meeting our objectives as we consider winding down our great military efforts in the Middle East with respect to the terrorist regime of Iran. Number one, completely degrading Iranian missile capability, launchers, and everything else pertaining to them. Number two, destroying Iran's defense industrial base. That was last week. Number three, eliminating their Navy and their Air Force, including anti-aircraft weaponry. That was in the beginning. Number four, never allowing Iran to get even close to nuclear capacity, and always being in a position where the USA can quickly and powerfully react to such a situation should it take place. Number five, protecting at the highest level our Middle Eastern allies, including Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Kuwait, and others. The Hormuz Strait will have to be guarded and policed as necessary by other nations who use it. The United States does not. If asked, we will help these countries in their Hormuz efforts, but it shouldn't be necessary. Once Iran's threat is eradicated, importantly, it will be an easy military operation for them. Thank you for your attention to this matter. This president projecting to everybody involved, don't fiddle with America. We've got the goods. We've got the intel. We've got the people. We will destroy you. Do you think everybody is paying attention? Damn right. And they daggone better. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, I want to talk about Democrats wanting us all talking about the gas prices. They need us talking about the gas prices. What's this president doing? It's crazy. Scott Bessent absolutely eviscerating what's her face. Kristen Welker over at NBC. It's delicious. You deserve it. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. He gets, I love Scott Bessent, one of those like super bright people who knows exactly what's going on and is not flustered by a Kristen Welker or any of these blowhards. But him being able to say what he needs to say without being interrupted, because they like want to pounce on him. And he's like, just let me get my thought out. Let me explain to you what's going on, right? It might not be in your soundbite need, but I'm going to explain to you if you're willing to listen, right? Okay. Dr. Simkovich and the Simkovich Concussion Institute. I was talking about them this weekend on the pitch because Bobby and another player collided. And Bobby was down on the ground for a little while and he got his bell rung. And I was monitoring him. They took him out of the game and he sat down for a couple minutes. And I have a whistle for the boys. And so if I whistle it, all of them, no matter where we are, Disney World, an airport, whatever, once they hear it, they're like, whoop. And he looked at me and I was like, and he's like, I'm okay. What kid is going to tell you he's not okay in a soccer tournament, right? He's going to play even if his arm is off. But I have to monitor this. And I'm so grateful. And I said to the other parents, I'm like, look, if any of you ever is in a situation and you're worried about your son's brain health after something on the pitch or what have you, I have somebody and he's wonderful. I would go to him. My friends go to him. I believe in what he does and he fixes people without surgery, without needles, without cutting into you. It is a trusted, proven, results-driven therapy. And it's at the Simkovich Concussion Institute, 412-366-3700, SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. It's this, it's let's get you fixed quickly. Let's be thorough, right? Let's have you here for several hours, take a break, do more therapy, and then in a course of 4 days, maybe 5, you have your life back. I'd take it. 412-366-3700, SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. I'm kind of geeked. We have a kind of like a P1 advertiser from back in the good old days.
Yeah.
Who might want to come back with us, who's got some pretty interesting stuff to discuss regarding health insurance and the mystery of trying to get coverage in this wild landscape that Obamacare fudged up so flippin' royally. So I'm kind of excited. We'll see if we've got some space for him to come back for a little while and open the door to a conversation that you guys might really need to have with an insurance professional. I do. I know Michael does. Toolsy does. Mm-hmm.
I just got my eye and dental
Did
monthly
you?
bill.
What does that set you back?
What's that?
What does that set you back?
$225 a month.
For you and Kate?
Yeah.
See, and then for me, it's like you go to the dentist and it's going to be probably $200 out of pocket. And then you're like, but I go once every 6 months. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to know what to do.
The eyeglasses, that's what
they get
you on.
I think my glasses were $500.
Yeah.
And that's not even expensive in the world of that. 5,800 people. Hello. Let's go. Let's get to 2.5. Let's go. Hit that Rumble button. Follow us. It's the button next to it. We're trying to get to 100,000 this year. Be so pleasing to hear at least one person in your mainstream media give President Trump or this administration the benefit of the doubt or a little bit of grace or even the remotest bit of fairness, but it's a bridge too far for the toxic left. And so you will not get any kind of fair shrift here with this president, what he's trying to do to offset gas prices. It's so funny that the left really didn't talk about it during Joe Biden's disastrous shut off the Keystone Pipeline, beg foreign countries for oil, and then sell our oil to China, right? For what? for you to pay an average of $1.11 more a gallon during his 4 years than you did in the 4 prior with President Trump the first go? U.S. approves sanctions relief for Iranian oil amidst its war with Tehran. So we've got this idea here where Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and the president are like, you know what? We've got 140 million barrels of oil, Iranian oil. It is theirs that we have seized, that we have sanctioned. You're not allowed to sell it, not allowed to do anything with it. We're going to unsanction it, sell it so that those 140 million barrels make it out into the market. So the countries that need it don't get the squeeze. It does not impact America. Simply doesn't. But as the president announced, hey, Tehran called, they want to make a deal. This could be over here shortly. All of a sudden, prices per barrel dropped precipitously, right? $10 a barrel, what have you. So Scott Bessent is like, all right, they got a certain amount of barrels that go through the Strait of Hormuz that are necessary for the market. And so we're going to relax this. We're going to unsanction this oil, get it from Iran. We're going to get it out there. Whatever money is made from the sale of it, Iran can have. They don't have a mechanism by which to spend the money. So it's really kind of not consequential to us. It's more consequential to the rest of the world that we get this Iranian oil and other like Russian sanctioned oil into the open market. Kristen Welker, she can't wrap her mind around it. And so Scott Bessent has to try to explain it to her. It must be extraordinarily complicated and frustrated to deal with somebody who's not listening to you, who legit is there to, got you, smear you, demean you, make your administration look bad, no matter what, at no matter cost, right? And he's trying desperately to explain to her, yeah, that's not what's going on. Listen to the give and go.
Talk about the real world impact of this, because you're talking about 140 million barrels of Iranian oil, and that's just a little bit more than what the world uses in one day. How much can that really change prices here
again,
at home?
Chris, terrible framing. Terrible framing.
Well, how much can it change prices here at home? Talk to consumers. How much will it change prices here at home?
Let me explain. 140 million barrels, about 20 million barrels a day comes out of the Gulf. About 5 million has been repurposed by the Saudis, by the UAE. So we're at a 15 deficit. About 1.5 is Iranian oil that comes out. So we are at between a 10 and 14 million deficit on a daily basis. So if you think about 140 million barrels, that's between 10 days and 2 weeks of supply. And one of the reasons that prices in the U.S. of West Texas crude are below $100, and we have not seen this massive spike as we did during the beginning of Russia-Ukraine, is because we are well supplied in the market. Whether it is the Russian oil, whether it is the Iranian oil, or it is the largest SPR release in history done by a coalition of 32 countries, 400 million barrels.
Kristen Welker, I can tell you from being a television news anchor for decades, is not listening. Because I had to go back and rehear what he said. He's like, look, in the Persian Gulf, through the Strait of Hormuz, there's 20 million barrels of oil that travels. It's not traveling right now. The Saudis took 5 million that they normally use, and they're now shooting it through the Red Sea. They're getting it elsewhere. We've got a deficit now of like 10 to 14 million barrels of oil that the rest of this area, China and South Korea and all these other countries need, that's not getting through the Strait of Hormuz. The president realizes this and knows if we unsanction 140 million barrels of Iranian oil sitting on oil tankers at sea now, then you can make up maybe 10, maybe 14 days of what isn't getting through the Persian Gulf until these other countries step forward to police it. Do you understand, Kristen? It's not about one day. It's about bridging a gap for a couple weeks. This president is on it. She's not listening. They never listen. When we come back, rest in peace to an American traitor. The swamp loses one of its most ruthless architects, and the president celebrates the death of Robert Mueller. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Like, if you really want to learn, but she doesn't really want to learn why this administration is making these decisions, they want to pounce from their own little wherever she's located, and I presume New York, right? She doesn't understand what's going on in the Persian Gulf. She's not there understanding the flow of oil and who needs it and what this president is doing. She has an aha. Oh, so you're going to unsanction this? It's only one day, 140 million barrels. That's what the world needs. He's like, hey, Jane, you ignorant. Stop talking. Let me explain something to you. Let me explain something, Lucy. I love him. Okay. Texas Bullion Exchange. I know Brock isn't here to put up the thing for us, but I was going through my stash at my safety deposit box, and I found a beautiful, you can get gold, you can get silver. This is a Silver Eagle. I think it's called that. Yep. This is a 2024 Silver Eagle. This is how it comes. Things that are minted that Texas Bullion Exchange, wendylovesgold.com gets you. Everything is coded. Everything has its own barcode, its own QR code. Everything is legit numbered. And then when you get your gold, silver, platinum, and palladium from Texas Bullion Exchange, they give you a very simple itemized breakdown. This is what you've just invested in. This is every single thing in your portfolio, and it could be on paper or it could be actual physical. I'm going to touch it and hold it in my hands, silver and gold. I have a little bit of both, right? I like Texas Bullion Exchange because they offer something that I've not seen anybody else offer, and it's their Principal Protection Program, their PPP. Ask about it. And it's them saying to you, today, if this is, let's just say silver, I don't even know what it is. Let's just say it's $80 an ounce, okay? If the price of silver crashes down to $4 an ounce and you want to sell back your silver, you won't get a penny less than what you paid for it. How do they do that? They're that confident in this as a phenomenal investment to hedge against inflation, against war, economic uncertainty, global tumult, whatever it is. Texas Bullion Exchange. wendylovesgold.com is where you can go and get great answers from people you trust. 855-927-5557. 855-927-5557. When you call, they know you're with us, and they're like, we love them. Brock will put it up. Maybe. There it is. 855-927-5557. wendylovesgold.com. They're super great to deal with. Super great.
Silver's down. Wendy Bell Radio should buy some silver.
Is it? What's it down to?
69, 64.
Wow. See, when we bought it, it was what, 33?
Yeah. It went as high as 90.
It went as high as 90.
97 or something.
Right? How are you doing? I just got a suntan. I know. My stomach is so growly right now. I'm not hungry because I'm drinking other stuff and it completely kills your appetite. These dietary supplements that we drink and what have you, they're phenomenal for that. But your belly, it's like, ow. Just so you know. It's very musical right now. So Robert Mueller, oh, what a guy.
Oh, Bobby.
Oh, Bob. Oh, Robbie. Yeah, if I want to make my son Bob, if I want to tick him off, I call him Robbie. And he's like, what, Mom? Hey, Robbie.
How about you don't even need his middle name.
How about you move your laundry from the washer to the dryer so I can get in on that, Robbie? Yes, Mom. It works.
Did you have any crab cakes when you were in Maryland?
I did not. What did I have? I had great salmon. I had a great salmon sandwich or salmon salad and a great French dip. Like, I'd take a smaller French dip with more really fantastic succulent beef. And it had like a bucket of au jus. I was like dipping my face in that. Give me some, I'll dip it in there like nobody's business. Potato chip, absolutely. So good. Salty. Now I'm All right, let's see what everybody's doing. 5878. We're almost at 6,000. That would be huge, and it would be even huger to hit 2.5 thousand rumbles. I'm telling you,
A lot of people are saying they want Barack Obama to go down. See, I'm going to be realistic about it and say he's a former president. It's never going to happen.
It's like Hillary.
Yeah.
She'll die and have the asterisk disgraced. She, Bill, the Obamas, the Bidens, the Bushes, disgraced. That's your legacy. That's your memory. That's how I'll remember you, George Bush. Your disgrace. I question everything, you guys. Everybody believes in the moon landing? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not thinking so. So weird. Did you go once and you don't go back? I don't know. If you also have questions, hit the thumbs up button. Help a starving mom. Starving. Well, welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program, jump-starting your week with all sorts of news. Good, I'm glad he's dead. President Trump responds to the death of ex-FBI Chief Robert Mueller. I just bit my tongue as I said that. Ex-FBI Chief Robert Mueller, who led the Trump-Russia investigation. You know what's interesting? Have you ever been the victim of a personal attack where it's not about your job, but it's vicious? It's somebody going out of their way to destroy you. I don't think a lot of us have that much experience with true darkness. I've had it happen. It's awful. Would you go so far as to try to destroy someone's life? To ruin their marriage, to destroy their brand, their ability to make money, to go after their children, their family, their legacy, their everything? Would you do that? Would you feel comfortable? Would you be proud of yourself? Would it matter to you? See, it would matter to me. And I like to believe that we still live in a world where you and I are the majority, and we're not extreme. And we're not ruthless, and we're not vengeful, but if we need to be the brick wall defending the line, so help us God, hell yeah, we will. It got personal. They went after everything Donald Trump represented, everything that he was, and they twisted it. And everything they tried to throw at him, it didn't work. Can you imagine how much the deep state hates Donald J. Trump? They listened to his conversations. They paid women to make up lies about him. They changed statutes of limitations so that alleged evidence could be brought forward in a desperate attempt to destroy him. They indicted him and lied about him, overvaluing or undervaluing his businesses or what have you. They lied and said he tried to steal and interfere with an election, that he tried to co-opt electors, that he tried to do this or that. And then they raided his home. And then they invaded his personal sanctum. Is nothing sacred? No. Good. I'm glad he's dead. Trump responds to the death of ex-FBI Chief Robert Mueller. This is from SkyNews.com. Former FBI Director Robert Mueller, who investigated alleged Trump-Russia ties, found none, right? Because he wasn't really investigating them. It was all Obama and Hillary lawyers concocting. He's died at the age of 81. His family said in a statement Saturday, with deep sadness, we're sharing the news that Bob passed away. Mueller, who died Friday, returned to public service as special counsel in the Trump-Russia inquiry. Tell me that Robert Mueller wasn't the exact same thing that Joe Biden was, right? We're going to give you somebody who represents the outward shell of the individual representing an office. But that person really isn't running the show. In fact, that person really isn't all that mentally acute anymore. And it's only through their own demise that we're able to navigate through them this witch hunt. It is through Joe Biden that Barack Obama ran his third term. Joe Biden obviously wasn't making the calls. We know this. I don't think Robert Mueller was doing much of anything. I think he was the face of something. He was a deep stater for a long time. He issued this 448-page report, released in April 2019, identified substantial contacts between the Trump campaign and Russia, but did not allege a criminal conspiracy. So, yeah, we set out to destroy you. We didn't have the corroborating evidence because I'll tell you what, we tried hard. We wiretapped the dude. We created fake garbage, that Steele dossier. We did all sorts of stuff for him, and we couldn't sink him. We got all these hookers. We got people who are just sordid individuals to step forward. Hey, we'll pay you to do whatever. Anybody who could take down Donald Trump, we couldn't do it. We couldn't do it. So Trump says, you know what? Good, he's dead. Good, he's dead. Let me see it exactly. Robert Mueller just died, President Trump said. Good, I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people, President Donald J. Trump. So it's amazing. I can only wonder how long it's going to be until he's an austere religious scholar. How is the left going to celebrate the passing of this man? Well, the mainstream media is already drafting their glowing eulogies, preparing to paint him as the ultimate Boy Scout, a steadfast patriot, a paragon of American justice. But of course, they're lying to you. Robert Mueller was not a principled lawman. He was the ultimate institutional hitman for a rotting, permanent bureaucracy. That's powerful. While everyone knows about his disastrous role as the face of the Russia collusion hoax, Mueller's treachery goes back much further. His entire career was dedicated to protecting a corrupt transatlantic establishment. Listen to this. This is from the X handle, The Observer, and I find this to be very interesting. The deep dive into the dark, untold legacy of Robert Mueller that the establishment wants permanently buried. Number one, the blueprint railroading political outsiders. Long before Trump descended that escalator, the transnational elite needed a reliable mechanism to eliminate political outsiders who threatened their control. Over 30 years ago, Robert Mueller cut his teeth as a leading figure in the malicious prosecution and railroading of innocent American statesman Lyndon LaRouche. Working alongside Boston banker William Weld, Mueller helped weaponize the justice system to destroy a domestic political movement. It's very interesting if you go back. Mueller proved early on he was willing to obliterate anti-establishment voices on behalf of the elite, and they paid attention. Number two, the contract assassin of the bureaucracy. His actions in the 80s and 90s set the stage for the modern weaponization of the Department of Justice. As LaRouche warned himself in 1995, America is held hostage by a, quote, rotten, permanent bureaucracy, which acts like contract assassins, using the authority of the justice system to perpetrate assassination. Mueller was the absolute poster child for this system. His role was never to uphold the Constitution. It was to serve as the legal executioner for a shadow network of globalists who demanded total compliance. Number three, the Russiagate cover-up and psyop. Decades later, when Donald Trump threatened to upend the globalist order and normalize relations with Russia, the exact same apparatus that railroaded LaRouche was activated against the president. Mueller was installed as special counsel to run a biased and pointless investigation. How was it any different than the January 6th committee? But the Russiagate probe was never actually about finding foreign collusion. It was a calculated, corrupt psychological operation. According to the data, Mueller specifically widened his investigation to cover his own personal corruption and to keep a completely false narrative alive in the media by turning the justice system into a theatrical circus. Mueller's objective was to paralyze the Trump presidency, derail sovereign American diplomacy, and give false hope to millions of Americans that President Trump is just a bad dream. Well, this is interesting because Kristen Welker kind of picks up on this. I'm so offended that the president would say, good, I'm glad he's dead. This is when she's sitting there talking to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who reminds her, Kristen, I don't know if you've ever been the victim of such a personal attack. This president has been. Listen, it's very important.
Ask you on a different topic about a post by President Trump from yesterday responding to the death of former special counsel Robert Mueller. He posted this, quote, Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. Do you think it's appropriate for the President of the United States to celebrate the death of an American citizen, someone who's a Bronze Star, Purple Heart recipient and who served in Vietnam?
Kristen, I was with the president in the green room at Davos, and there was a video playing of the what may have been an illegal raid on his home at Mar-a-Lago. They are going through his wife's wardrobe, and I watched the look in his eye, and I think that neither one of us can understand what has been done to the president and to his family.
But to the question of the president's post, I mean, Robert Mueller didn't order that raid. Is it appropriate for the president to celebrate the death of any American citizen,
again,
Mr. Secretary?
I think that given what has been done to President Trump and his family, it is impossible for either of us to understand what he has been through.
So you don't think that there's anything wrong with the post saying, good, Robert Mueller's dead?
Again, I think that we should all have a little empathy for what has been done to him and his family.
Robert Mueller's career was a masterclass in the subversion of the American Republic. From his early days, railroading innocent dissidents to prison, to orchestrating a deeply corrupt and inept political witch hunt, which was intended to overthrow a sitting president, Bob Mueller consistently served as the sword and shield of a hostile oligarchy. Now, as we pay attention to the media, as they mourn him, as they put outrage over the press, so rude. No, so honest, good. A dark stain of American history breathes no more. Remember the truth of what he built. Like, until we permanently dismantle the bureaucratic contract assassins of the justice system that Mueller championed, like, this country's not going to be free, nor anyone in it. The president celebrated as the swamp just lost one of its most ruthless architects. History will not absolve him. And it was so curious after his doddering performance, presenting his conclusions of nothingness, after trying and failing to dethrone Donald Trump, to turn you and millions of Americans off to him. What did they present him as? An old man, feeble old man with Parkinson's disease, like Joe Biden, corrupt as the day is long and stupid. Don't you dare criticize him. He has prostate cancer, and it's metastasized to his bones. It's almost like you need a diagnosis to absolve you of any criticism of your illegal scumbaggery to destroy this country. And the one man who knew he had the power and the strategy and the ability to stop the deep state. Rush Limbaugh with a very interesting take from 2019. You deserve to hear it. I miss him. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. So you agree with the president? Kristen, again, you're not listening because that's not what you do. You're not interested in news. You're not interested in learning anything. Like, every time you have an opportunity to talk to somebody, if you're interested, you can learn something. Or it's all about an aha narrative push, which is what you know the mainstream media is all about. All right. How many of you are familiar with the whole GLP-1? GLP, you're like, well, we didn't really start talking about that until these weight loss drugs got covered by insurance and more people started taking them. GLP is actually, it's a natural hormone that's made in your gut that helps tell your brain, I've had enough to eat. Now, some people don't have this hormone or have less of it. I mean, there's only one way you become an enormously morbidly obese individual. It's not just because you have something going on. There's something going on. And if you could stop that something from going on and trigger the stomach and the brain to talk to each other, that's what the shots do. And they do it with punishing effect, right? Terrific weight loss, but at what cost? Unknown side effects. A lot of people get terribly nauseous. Like the whole joy of eating or drinking just sort of kind of falls apart. And it's sort of like, meh, right? What if you could take something and lose weight slowly, but a lot of weight a little bit more naturally? That's what GLP Gold is. GLP-1 Gold from bloodflow7.com. Juvenon, Wendy 30 promo code. That's what this does. And at a fraction of the cost. A month of GLP-1 Gold. Take it to pay attention to your stomach, feeling a lot more full, and you not eating as much. A month of this is less than $35. I think it's like $1 a day. Without pharma, without God knows what's in it, without weird, wacky side effects. You don't have to take it, any specific way. GLP-1 Gold. I love it. It says you probably heard about this because of prescription weight loss drugs, but this comes into play. It's a supplement designed to support natural GLP-1 pathways using researched plant extracts. I'm way down with plant extracts because they're not made by Pfizer. Juvenon, bloodflow7.com. You'll find it there. It's another one of those tools to have at the ready. But that's for significant weight loss. Not like your weekend, I need to lose 3 pounds and squeeze into these pants. Significant weight loss. Doable with that. GLP-1 Gold, Juvenon, bloodflow7.com. Wendy 30% off. It's just a ridiculous benefit. Okay. Good. I'm glad he's dead. Yep. Whatever. Tim Pool was like, God, he's ruthless. I'm like, is he? Or is he just honest?
Yes.
Guy went through my wife's underwear. Or the whole witch hunt did. He signed off on it. It was part of it. Oh no, LaGuardia is trending. I love what Rush had to say. He always made things feel manageable. And Obama tweeted about his death. I looked at it this morning at 80 million views. And none of the comments that I found was positive. God, it's almost like everybody knows. What he'd think today, what he would say. I remember how much I so enjoyed hearing him. In 2019, he had a very interesting take on Robert Mueller's corrupt witch hunt that did nothing, changed nothing, and proved nothing, except that Donald Trump was the deep state's public enemy number one. Here's Rush again, 7 years ago.
We have been lied to ourselves. We have been misled. We have been misdirected by a willing accomplice drive-by media working with Robert Mueller and his staff of anti-Trump lawyers and the entire Democrat Party combined with the Washington establishment to create in the minds of the American people a story that didn't happen, couldn't happen, nobody can ever prove did happen. Where is the tampering of votes? Where is the meetings? Where is the strategy? Where is the evidence that Trump got together with Russians to sabotage the Hillary campaign, which is what everybody has been led to believe happened here? Robert Mueller has nothing, because there is nothing on what everybody in this country has been misled to believe for the past 2 years.
Donald Trump talking about Epstein. There is nothing there. 2004, I told you. I kicked him out of the club. I kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. And I've never had to deal with him since. And then what do we have? How many years of beating the pinata of Epstein, desperate to find any scrap of paper, any something. And there had to be a note, a scribble, something to connect this guy. He can't be that clean. Yes, he can. Obama knew, Clinton knew, Biden knew, Comey knew, Brennan knew, McCabe freaking knew, Strzok knew, Clapper knew, Schiff knew, the FBI knew, the DOJ knew, and Mueller freaking knew. They all knew. Donald Trump was innocent of everything they were trying to pin on him because they were the ones who were guilty and they needed to do the little reversal. They smeared him. They spied on him. Worse than Watergate. President Trump is a crime victim. Same year that Rush Limbaugh said that. 2019. Then Congressman John Ratcliffe, now CIA director, telling Maria Bartiromo on Mueller not knowing about Fusion GPS, literally testified he could not answer, had no idea what Fusion GPS was all about, the opposition research that ended up leading to the dossier. He did not know. This was John Ratcliffe, then as a congressman, on their incredulity of how dumb the witch hunt that Bob Mueller was about for Donald Trump was
Your
all about.
reaction to the fact that Mueller said he's not familiar with Fusion GPS. It's not in his purview. How can that fly?
Of course it can't. Trey Gowdy said it best this week. The person who learned the most about the Mueller report during Wednesday's hearings was Robert Mueller, and that's sad but true. And really what it meant is that the Mueller report and its conclusions weren't from Robert Mueller. They were written by what a lot of people believe was Hillary Clinton's de facto legal team, people that had supported her, even represented some of her aides. And so the Mueller report, it's really going to be difficult for the Democrats or anyone to rely upon the findings of a report when they just listen to the man whose name was on top of it not have a command of what was even in it.
You know, it was interesting as Bob Mueller back then was reporting to the House Judiciary Committee. Well, President Trump was president about his findings that alleged that, well, there was some stuff that went on between Trump associates and Russia, sort of, kind of, not really, but, you know, we've been spending so much time talking about it. We've got to find something, but nothing that's actionable. And then all of these House members, these Republicans, certain leaders stepped forward and played a prominent role in the interrogation of Bob Mueller after this ridiculous $30 million waste of time, 2 years of garbage stories in the news, a la the January 6th committee. Same kind of thing. You know who emerged from those House Judiciary hearings as leaders? Mike Lee, John Ratcliffe, Devin Nunes, Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz, Andy Biggs, and Doug Collins. Do you know what President Trump does? He rewards loyalty. Mike Lee, now Speaker of the House. John Ratcliffe, now President Trump's CIA director. Devin Nunes heads Truth Social for the president. Jim Jordan, House Judiciary Chair. Matt Gaetz, Trump tried to make him Attorney General, right? Andy Biggs, head of the House Freedom Caucus. And Doug Collins is the administrator of the VA. President Trump pays attention. He rewards those who are loyal. Barack Obama tweeted this about Bob Mueller. Bob Mueller was one of the finest directors in the history of the FBI, transforming the Bureau after 9/11 and saving countless lives. 80 million views later, I'll tell you the comments are blistering. Worth going back and finding it. When we come back, hour 2, ladies and gentlemen, of the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Next. Hour 2, yes. 3, 2, 3, 3, 3.
What?
It's hour 3. Shucks. My rudimentary math skills just boned me. I want to read you a couple of these. So, Michelle and I send our condolences to Bob's family and everyone who knew and admired him. How some of these replies? Far and away the worst and most vile presidential comment today on the man who was titular head of a horrific operation to destroy countless lives, overturn a presidential election, and obliterate any trust whatsoever in the federal government. That's kind of tough. Bob Mueller should have died in prison, which is where you should be for treason. These are responses to Barack Obama. Arrest Barack Obama. There's this one. Robert Mueller was a deep state puppet who obstructed the justice system and dragged the whole country into a years-long witch hunt. Millions of dollars wasted on a completely fake investigation into Russia and Trump. Guess what, Barry? You gave the order. You better get some good lawyers. Mueller is gone, but you're still able for prosecution. Like, oh my God, respected Robert Mueller was the poisonous tip of Russiagate, a hoax and conspired plot against Trump. I mean, it's just like the responses to that. And there are 9.4 thousand comments. They're not good. The couple dozen that I've read are like, yeah, Barry, you might want to sit this one out. It's crazy. All right. Let's see, disinfectwithsniper.com. I got to say, I love my Sniper. I use Sniper to clean everything, and I use Knockout as my degreaser. So Jack made chicken wings last night. We got home from Annapolis, Maryland. Jack had texted Bobby on the way, and he's like, hey, what is your timing? And Bob's like, I will be home around 6 for the Tennessee tip-off, NCAA. Jack's like, all right, want me to make dinner? And we're like, okay. And so he went out, bought a bunch of chicken wings and deep-fried a bunch of chicken wings. They're fantastic deep-fried, I'm just going to say. But, of course, deep-fried shice everywhere. And so after everything had cooled down, I took out my Knockout, which is the sister product of disinfectwithsniper.com, Sniper. And it is a huge deodorizer and degreaser. Like, how do you get those things together? I don't know, but you do. And you can get all of their products, disinfectwithsniper.com, disinfectwithsniper.com, all of the Hunt Chef's spices. Remember, the flags for the 250th birthday of America. Yes, disinfectwithsniper.com. Look, we're 70 away, you guys, from 6,000. Somebody needs to call a friend and have them jump over because we need to hit 6,000 now. But I'm saying it and people are tuning out. Oh, that's mean. That's not very nice. 2.57. Thanks, guys. So we have an hour to get 300 or 400 people to hit the thumbs up button. Anybody else out there, Brock, that they're excited about to see rot in almighty hellfire other than Fauci? Anybody else have a good idea for you? In the comments.
A lot of Obamas, a lot of Hillary's.
Right. Like, I wonder
a lot of
who
people
is
saying it's not fair for just one.
Right. No, I agree with that. Who's the one that sends the biggest message? Fauci.
Listen, this is why I told Wendy this morning of why Fauci is on mine. He not only killed people, but it was a decade-long sociopathic escapade. And aside from the physical harm that he did, that guy...
He ruined relationships.
That guy ruined more relationships.
Yeah. He's ruined families.
Yeah.
He drove a wedge between people where you had certain people in the family who were like, what? And then others who were like...
I think he was more polarizing than Barack Obama.
Terrible. Just a terrible human
I mean,
being.
that's when the country just went...
Yeah.
And it was over masks.
That's where my relationship with some members of my family really went sideways.
Yep, me too.
Let me tell you guys about Lean. This is from Brickhouse Nutrition, our Field of Greens makers, lean versus injections. Everybody's talking about weight loss injections. The results are very dramatic. It's true. If you want dramatic, but sometimes that's not the best way. You've seen people get that like super sallow. It's like Ozempic face. It's Ozempic face. It's like there's this like shadows and just like it's weird. Very weird. So what if you're looking to lose weight but not interested in painful weekly injections, especially when you hear about the side effects, right? Well, doctors created a weight loss supplement called Lean, and the results are remarkable. This is pretty interesting because I have heard of no other product that does this. The studied ingredients in Lean have been shown to lower your blood sugar, to burn fat by converting it into energy, and to basically squash your appetite and your cravings so you're not as hungry. But Lean is not for the casual dieter with only a few pounds to lose. The doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition created it for frustrated dieters with 10 or more pounds to lose. That's this product, 10 or more. Let's get you started with 20% off of it. All right, take lean, take lean.com, enter Wendy as your promo code. You'll get the 20% off. Read the ingredients. Look and see what it says. Remember, Brickhouse Nutrition, these are the people behind Field of Greens, real organic superfoods, whole organic fruits and vegetables in a drink that people love and rave about, right? That's the company that's saying, we're going to help you lose significant weight without drugs, and we're going to help monitor your blood sugar, and we're going to help convert fat into energy, and we're going to stop you from eating. Okay. Take lean.com/Wendy. Or excuse me, take lean.com. Promo code Wendy, 20% off. It's a great deal. It's a great deal. How's everybody? So, yeah. We just bounced on California and those clowns. Wait a minute, what? Oh.
Two, one. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with health care and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live and on the clock. It is great to be with you. You know, sometimes Brock and I will talk in the early morning hours about, there's not a lot of news, we would say. Or what's the big story? Does it feel like we're in a vacuum, like everything's gotten sucked out of the room, as though there's some big thing that's going to break? What's that thing? What's been going on? And oftentimes we talk about stories that have been covered and then they just drop. We don't hear anymore. This whole Jeffrey Epstein everything is one of those things. And much like the president, as he said from the very beginning, right? I will be that gap between you and crazy. I will put my life on the line. I will work my fingers to the bone. I will make deals. Every single day I'm allowed as president to make America great again. I did not do anything with hookers. I didn't cheat on my wife. I didn't make any kind of advances. I don't sniff people. I don't try to hug little kids. I don't have some weird perverted diary. I didn't do anything with Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, when he tried to poach young workers from Mar-a-Lago and he sexually propositioned one, Donald Trump was like, that's it. You're out. You're bounced. And you know the rest because you pay attention. He was actually the FBI's whistleblower. He was the one who called, or maybe not even the FBI, local police, Palm Beach County Police. Hello? Hi, this is Donald Trump. This creep, Jeffrey Epstein's making moves on my workers, right? Now, you know that. But somehow this whole Epstein thing got memory hold. They're trying to sink Pam Bondi. Summer Lee, the congresswoman from Pennsylvania, from my district, oh goody. She's like, Pam Bondi must be impeached over the handling of... There's nobody who's going to make everybody happy or anybody happy with the case of Epstein and all of this jazz, right? But the one thing they haven't been able to stick the landing on is they haven't been able to connect Donald Trump to it, period. So there's this gentleman, and I so enjoyed paying attention to him over the weekend. His name is John Michael Chambers. He's a broadcaster. He's a right-wing broadcaster, mega extreme. I don't know what he is, but he's got a show. And he did this really great collating of all of the files, 1.3 million documents. How many people are on these documents? How many people are listed? How many occasions are they listed? And why is now the media and the left just absolutely dropped the Epstein football? We're not running. We're not trying to advance. We're not trying to move the chains anymore. Well, John Michael Chambers says this: Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were in fact friends. And he's going to go through very, very easily 4 audio sound bites to let you know why they had to drop this. They weren't advancing anything. Audio soundbite number 1.
Your reaction.
Researchers just read all 1.39 million DOJ Epstein documents, every one. And here is what they found on Trump. 40 documents, not damning documents, 40 documents total. Every sworn deposition, every FBI interview, every flight log entry, every civil complaint, every media reference of any kind linking Trump to Epstein in the largest document production in DOJ history. The number is the story, but the documents themselves tell it better. The friendship was real. Trump and Epstein were Palm Beach neighbors and Manhattan social circle fixtures in the 1990s. Trump called him a terrific guy in 2002. This friendship existed and must be stated plainly, because everything that follows only makes sense if you understand that. The falling out was also real. Around 2004, it ended. Brad Edwards, the attorney who represented Epstein's victims and investigated every lead for years, established under oath that Trump banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago after Epstein sexually assaulted an underage girl at the club.
Million pages, million documents, and President Trump is in 40 of them. There's no mention of him on the plane, no mention of him with any girls, no girls saying he did this, no nothing. 40, right? Of the nearly 1.5 million documents, there was no story. There was no connection past 2004. No, nothing. This is the point in which, the same way with Hillary and with Obama, with Clapper and Brennan and all of the others, where they were like, oh, snap. We wiretapped the guy. We got nothing. Let's make up some crap. Audio soundbite number 2.
There is no documented contact between Trump and Epstein after 2004. Not one email, not one phone call, not one scheduled entry in 1.39 million documents. The investigation found nothing. The FBI flagged every document mentioning Trump across the entire corpus by order of the bipartisan Senate Judiciary Committee. The result? one allegation, one victim who refused to cooperate, no prosecution. The Southern District of New York had Trump's phone records. They found an Oculus 2001 call alongside explicit trafficking procurement. They charged nothing. Attorney General Barr, under oath, quote, "I was never informed of the evidence, and I'm skeptical there is any. If they had evidence, this would have been low-hanging fruit," end quote.
Can you imagine the deep state, how ticked they are, how much they were hanging on? Surely there's gotta be something. The guy has to have done something. We've spent all this time and nothing to stick. Well, even worse, the lawyer who'd been working on everything Epstein, working on behalf of several of the victims, found nothing on President Trump either.
Brad Edwards, the attorney who had every reason and every incentive to find evidence against anyone connected to Epstein, filed a sworn affidavit, quote, "We have no information that Trump spoke to Epstein about any of the specific victims of his molestation," end quote. And when Edwards was reaching out to powerful men in Epstein's orbit, Trump was the only one who picked up the phone and returned his call. Readily, he knew what Epstein was and wanted to talk about it. The comparison? Bill Gates, 2,265 documents, multiple confirmed meetings, donations routed through Epstein, Boris Nikolic named in Epstein's will. Bill Clinton, 1,586 documents, 147 sexually explicit messages with Maxwell, multiple confirmed island visits, flights confirmed by the pilot 10 to 20 times. Reid Hoffman, 1,976 documents, slept at Epstein's Manhattan mansion. Leon Black, 667 documents, $158 million paid to Epstein across a decades-long financial relationship.
But Donald Trump, again, he drew the line in the sand with Jeffrey Epstein in 2004, and that's exactly where things stopped.
Donald Trump, 40 documents, 0 financial transactions, 0 island and visits, 1 commuter flight in 1997, a friendship that ended in 2004 when he drew the line and had Epstein removed from his property. The only person in the orbit who returned the victim's attorney's call, Trump's entire file is 1.8% the size of Gates. Quote, "A man who was part of an early social world he did not yet completely understand, who, when the investigation came, banned the predator from his club, picked up the phone for the victim's attorney, and was cleared by every investigative body that looked." 1.39 million documents. Every citation verifiable.
A social world Trump did not understand, John Michael Chambers says. What social world is that? The buying and selling of women for sex? Child trafficking? What exactly is the social world that so many people were a part of that Donald Trump was not? They made this personal. Mueller, Obama, Clapper, Comey, Strzok, Page, all of them. They made it personal. When we come back on the Wendy Bell Radio program, bad news for CBS News Radio. Yeah, we're not good at all. I got the story for you next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Look, I don't celebrate when people go out of business or when everybody loses their job, but it is the ebb and flow of supply and demand. And if there is no demand, the supply ends up going away real quick. I want to tell you about Healthy Cell. Healthy Cell to me is a very interesting idea, and it's very basic. Knowing that as you get older, it's harder for your stomach acid to digest pills. Healthy Cell decided to create a line of nutritional supplements, things that we need, that bypasses the pill form. So they put them into microgels, little pouches of delicious. And when I tell you it's delicious, it's stupid to say that a medicine or that a supplement, something that's good for your health, would taste good. Usually it tastes like, right? And it's delicious. The flavors are good. And what do? They get around that whole processing of the gut with the stomach acid. And they say, hey, let's get it into your bloodstream fast, because the product has to get into your cells. Healthy cells. That's the building block of healthy life. So whether it's your hair, skin, and nails, whether it's your focus and recall or immune super boost, you want to have a little bubble of protection around you during the cold and flu season, whether it's heart and vascular health. Can you imagine being able to bring down your blood pressure and control your cholesterol without taking a drug? Yeah, it's called healthycell.com/Wendy. It just is. Then there's this one for sleep, for calm mood, for joint health and mobility. And that's just the 6 that I have here. There's another, 8 or 10 that you're going to get. Healthycell.com/Wendy. I'm telling you what, read about this company. They are doing amazing things, getting around the problem that we all have over the age of 50. And that's just not, our body's just not doing what we need them to do as well as they did. Basically, it ain't sexy. After 55, your body just can't absorb nutrients from pills like it used to. Healthy Cells Bioactive Multi-Micro Gel. This is one of those I think that Brock is going to be taking. It's a complete daily multivitamin, gives you the nutrients your body needs in a form it can absorb. That's the secret sauce. The vehicle by which you get it. Love them. When they called, I was like, yes. Yes, I'll take 2. Yes. Hey, Siri, create a calendar entry tomorrow, 3:30, call with Wendy Loves Gold. Thank you.
Someone's throwing money at you.
Somebody's throwing money at me. Oh, I love that. $20 twice. What? Froggy. It's going to take more than that, baby doll. But I appreciate you, Froggy. Oh, and another one. Froggy, I need a W-9. I think I'm a contract worker for you, which sounds a little dubious, but I'll take it. Thank you. You're a sweetheart. All right, let's see how you guys are doing. How are we doing on our comments over here? Let me see. Demanda, how you feeling, babe? 233 comments. Okay. I can't complain. 2.73 thousand rumbles. We're 270 away from 3,000. That's really impressive. Plus, you guys are hanging out at 5,800. Ultra, I don't know what you're saying. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. So look, I wanted to play for you in that prior segment this breakdown of who actually was mentioned ad nauseum in these files, right? And I know the Epstein saga is a continuation of Russian collusion. It's yet another dart on the dartboard, except the Democrats they're throwing them blind. Look, as much as Donald Trump disrupted the deep state disrupted Donald Trump. Because the deep state looks at somebody like Donald Trump and they're like, there's no way that dude's not dirty. There's no way you could be a billionaire and do all sorts of good stuff for people and not be kind of a dirtbag. You've got an Achilles heel. You've got a dirty fingerprint on something. We're going to do whatever we need to do to find it, right? The deep state runs into a snag when they can't find anything. What are we going to do? Donald Trump completely punched every which way. Every time they become more desperate. When the E. Jean Carroll debacle doesn't stick the landing, right? When the phone call with Zelensky didn't move the needle and persuade enough Americans that Trump was a bad person. We need to get away from him. When all of the bull crap didn't move the needle and did just the opposite. It made him more successful. It made him more palatable. It opened him up as more of an attractive option for more Americans. Can you imagine the seething? That's how you get assassination attempts. That's disgusting. Bad news over at CBS News Radio. Look, I will not celebrate when people lose their jobs, but it is where we are. At some point, when you lie or you present a one-sided approach of all things, and your mission statement is anything that makes Donald Trump look bad, you're not going to sell a lot. You're not going to get a lot of people choosing to dial into your product. And then lo and behold, what happens? Money dries up and the jobs go poof. Well, this is bigger than that. This is from our friends at newsbusters.org. This is their site from the Media Research Center. CBS News Radio is going to end. To say the least, the announcement from CBS is considerable, which is come May, CBS News Radio will cease to exist. Over there at the network's website, it still says this: CBS News Radio brings you the news you need from the brand you trust. Breaking news, continuous coverage, and round-the-clock reporting. Trust CBS News Radio to be there when you need it. Except nobody needs it. Nobody wants it, and nobody's listening to it. Catch that last line? Trust CBS News Radio to be there when you need it. Well, actually, as of May, no more. The network has this statement now. Today, we informed our CBS News Radio team and approximately 700 affiliated stations that we will end the service on May 22nd, 2026. Unfortunately, this decision means that all positions within the CBS News Radio team are being eliminated. Can you imagine getting this as an email? Isn't that terrible? You give your life to something, maybe, and they get an email. Sorry. We understand how some of the most significant stories of our time. There is no selling garbage news anymore. For all those unfamiliar with the history, CBS News Radio began in 1927 and would eventually become the employer of legendary newsman Edward R. Murrow. Murrow shot to fame during World War II when he would broadcast live from Europe that was in the middle of a conflagration that had descended with the rise of Hitler's Nazis and their invasion of the continent. His broadcasts for the CBS News Network, Radio News Network, many during the Nazi London Blitz, were riveting. Not to mention revolutionary in the use of radio to reach an audience of millions in the middle of wartime. But you know what? Things changed. Time moves on, and so it does. The CBS News Radio found itself in today's high-tech world incapable of moving along with the time. There's been, as a CBS News Radio executive noticed or noted, a tsunami of technological change. See, I don't think it's that nobody's listening to the radio anymore, because I think we're proof of an alternate hypothesis. I believe nobody wants to listen to fake news anymore, or news that is so horrendously one-sided. Look at CNN. Ratings plummeted, profits cratered. Now you have Bari Weiss moving in. CNN people going nutty. What's going to happen? There is no more market. We're starving for something to believe in. And it can't just be the president's Truth Social account to tell us what he's doing, because there's so much bias. So rest in peace, along with Bob Mueller, CBS News Radio. A little introspection goes a long way. Where along the way did you go so horribly off the mark? when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends. Democrats are rejecting the one man who can save their party, John Federman. Harry Enton talks about the cataclysmic decline in John Federman's approval among Pennsylvania Democrats. Are they shooting themselves in their own feet? I say yeah. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I have no love lost for CBS News Radio. I remember we used to take their reports live when we worked at the other place. Blah, 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 blah.
I think what you're seeing is that.
Yeah, let's bring in the radio guy. He's got way more experience than I do.
I think what you're seeing is they can't get advertising because in a lot of these markets, a lot of these stations, what you do is you barter, right? So I take CBS News and I don't necessarily cut them a check. I give them radio spots. So I might get one spot in the news and they get 1 or 2 spots in the news. So that's how they generate their money and pay their people, is through the advertising dollars. Because you figure, how many affiliates did they say they had? 600?
700.
700? That's 21 hours or 2,100 minutes that they get during the news. That is a lot of time.
700
money.
affiliated stations. God knows how many people. I'm going to run to the bathroom.
But you had also, we talked about this last year, that George Soros bought up a lot of debt from one of the biggest radio corporations out there. And that makes a huge difference when he buys debt. George Soros isn't into building. And everything he touches turns to shit. And especially when it comes to corporate media, he's not in it for the long game. And a lot of these places and all they're going to do is they're going to go to a Fox News or another news source that's out there that's going to run the same way. So to Wendy's point, I think people are tired of the fake news and they're tired of not getting the full story. So you might see a lot of these stations go to more local, but they're still going to need that network news because you're not going to run a radio station isn't going to run local news at 10 o'clock at night. They're just not going to. So it's a shame. It's a shame. Radio is near and dear to me. But it's just been so poorly run in the last 10 years. And they don't move with the times. They don't get ahead of the changes. They're stuck in their, well, that's how it's always been done. And it's just, it's a shame. You're watching a slow decline of a corporate structure that isn't working. Over salaried people for the longest time. When times were good, they were paying people, and then times got tight and they just started firing people and they started losing people. I worked with a gentleman who worked the overnights and he had a 50 share, which to you guys may mean nothing. If a share is a 50 share means one of every 2 radios on in that market was on his show. And they wanted him to take a pay cut. And he just said no and walked away. He was smart with his money. He walked away. And you lose a ton of listeners. And anyone in this business will tell you that your lead-in is as important as your show.
Yep.
And the morning show suffered.
We didn't ever have much luck on that one either.
The morning show suffered. It's a shame, like I said, that they were mismanaged for so long. And with George Soros buying debt of companies, he's not into rebuilding. He's into destroying. He sucks the money out of a business and then leaves the shambles for people to pick up. every Thanksgiving in radio, you see people go like this because that's when they fire people.
Here's a turkey.
Yep. That's what it is.
Morgan's Fitness, Kelly Morgan and Morgan's Fitness. You know what? I have a great testimonial from this young woman. She's 73. And she wasn't necessarily trying to lose weight per se, as she was trying to develop some core strength. So strengthen the abdominal muscles, which, by the way, protects your back. All of it's connected, but if you really don't have abdominal muscles that you work on, it's very easy to get injured. And this young lady, 73 years old, she's like, she put on, I think, what did she say? She lost 3 pounds of fat and she put on 1.5 pounds of muscle. So for a net loss of 1.5 pounds over 90 days. And you'd be like, that sounds like a terrific waste of time and money. Yeah, no. She said, getting used to eating was challenging. All of the things she needed to. It was a work in progress. I'm eating more food than I'm used to. I've noticed improvements not only physically, but mentally too. I feel stronger. I feel more confident in the gym. And when shopping for healthy foods to eat the right stuff, I'm stronger than I've been. I'm pleased with my results so far. I've had some great success. My clothes are beginning to feel looser. Kelly Morgan, Morgain's Fitness, MORGAINZ fitness.com. You do it online. How about that? Amazing. It works. Bell radio program. So I have this unusual position in that John Federman lives, and his district where he was mayor of the town of Braddock, Pennsylvania, is like 10 miles away from my house. So Brock and I know John Federman. We followed him through his job as the mayor of Braddock. He then went and became the lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania. And we kind of watched as he bounced around in a 67 county tour to focus on legalizing marijuana. I guess President Trump is also making moves on cannabis to I guess, kind of water down some of the punishments or whatever. I need to read about it. I'm not really well advanced on that. I'm sorry. But John Federman's big thing was about weed. And I never thought that was a big deal. And I didn't care I didn't care for that being his agenda. I've had a bad attitude about him. I thought he was kind of an idiot. He doesn't sound very bright. I've made fun of him and being kind of a galoot. And then he had a stroke. And I don't know, it changed for me. I don't like piling on people who have struggles. So we kind of dialed it back and we watched him as he ran for senator. And it made me angry because his campaign withheld it from the American people and from the people of Pennsylvania that he had had a stroke. And then he's going up against Mehmet Oz, and his debate, hello and good night, are the first 4 words out of his mouth. And Brock and I are like, oh, geez, what the hell? And then he wins. Of course he wins. And you're like, this is the dumbest thing ever. This is what's wrong with our country. Here you have a What's Mehmet Oz? Isn't he a cardiothoracic surgeon? He's like some total badass who's like patented cardiac clips that save people's lives. He's been like the head of these hospital systems and a TV show and all this. God forbid we should want that guy as the senator. We're going to get this other guy who's like this monster goofball guy who's had a stroke and can't talk, super duper. And then I started paying a little bit more attention to what John Federman was saying. And do I agree with everything he says? No. Do you agree with everything I say? No. But I don't know. I don't know if his stroke woke me up or it woke him up or something happened like peanut butter and chocolate, but he started talking and making sense. And so his treatment of Mark Wayne Mullen, a fellow senator who obviously he has a relationship with, and he says, look, country over party. I'm not going to sink you, Senator, to be the next DHS chief. And so it's with John Federman's eye with the Republicans that Mark Wayne Mullen will ostensibly, and here shortly, become the next Department of Homeland Security Secretary. Pennsylvania Democrats apparently are not a big fan of John Federman in this, I don't know, common sense, realistic approach to being a senator. Because Harry Enton did a whole blurb on him, and I had to ask Brock to snag it. I can't tell what's wrong. Is it John Federman who's wrong, or is it everything about everything else criticizing John Federman that's wrong? Well, I want you to hear. Harry's at the wall. He's breaking down some stuff over at CNN as the data guru. And he's like talking about the curious case of Senator Federman's staggering popularity plummet within his own party here in Pennsylvania. It seems Democrats are pretty fickle. This is big, though. Listen to Harry.
Part of a larger story, Mr. Berman. And I would just say that John Federman is doing as well with Pennsylvania Democrats as the New York Giants are as liked in the state of Pennsylvania or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I mean, just look at this. Among Pennsylvania Democrats and net approval of Federman, back in 2023, he was a Democrat liberal darling. He was at plus 68 points. Look at how low he has fallen down to negative 40 points. He's down there with the Titanic among Democrats in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And, you know, to put a comparison point on, we always talk about how Chuck Schumer is not well liked by the Democratic base nationwide. Chuck Schumer has a net popularity rating of about -2 points. He is 38 points more popular than John Federman is with Pennsylvania Democrats. And I was also looking at Kristen Sinema, who, of course, ended up leaving the Democratic Party in Arizona. She was considerably more popular just before she shifted over than John Federman is at -40 points.
So it's interesting. Harry is suggesting that the only way for John Federman to stay in the Senate is to ditch the Democrat Party and, I guess, become an independent. Why? Like, I find that a very interesting synopsis. Like, well, nobody likes you anymore on the left, so in order for you to win, you're going to have to become an independent. Well, it seems like Democrats are pretty fickle then. What has John Federman even said? He went to the White House or to Mar-a-Lago because the president asked him to come and have a conversation with him. And he did. And like Bill Maher, he was like, yeah, he's a good guy. He's the president of the United States. I'm for America. And if that means that you don't like me because I'm for America, I'm country over party every single day of the week. What's controversial about that? Right? So a 108-point swing to the negative for Federman. His net popularity with his own party is worse than all senators who lost a primary this century. Listen.
I mean, just take a look here. Okay, 2,000 senators' own party net ratings about when they lost a primary. Bob Smith, plus 15. Arlen Specter, plus 13. Of course, he switched parties to Democrats. It didn't work for him from a Republican. Plus 6, Joe Lieberman. Dick Lugar was at 0 points. Lisa Murkowski was at -15 points. All of these were considerably more popular than John Federman is right now at -40 points. He is below the lowest, the ones who actually got beat in a primary. There is no historical analog to this. That is how unpopular John Federman is with Pennsylvania Democrats. There is basically no doubt in my mind that if Federman decides to run for re-election as his Democrat, he will face a primary challenge and it will be a very competitive one.
So basically, Harry's hinting that for his own survival, I guess John Federman better run as an independent, throw in the towel. Now, Federman says the Democrat Party has no leader and is instead governed by Trump derangement syndrome. Could that be what's going on with this poll? Listen and you tell me.
John Federman, when you look at his net popularity rating at minus 40 points, he's on a completely other planet from Chuck Schumer, who is also unpopular, and he's on a different galaxy entirely from other incumbents who actually lost re-election, far less popular than them.
We set it up by talking about his vote to push Markwayne Mullin through committee. How likely do the prediction markets think Markwayne Mullin is to get confirmed?
Yeah, John Federman basically was the bow on this, because just take a look here. Okay, Chance Mullin's confirmed as DHS secretary, and this is before May of 2026. Look at this, a 98% chance according to the Kalshi prediction market. John Federman is the big reason why Markwayne Mullin is going to get confirmed as DHS secretary. Another reason for Democrats who already didn't like him to dislike him even more.
So resisting to the Democrat Party is more important than anything that has to do with America. It's resisting Donald Trump. That is the number one prerequisite to be a card-carrying Democrat. Well, I found this very interesting Substack. It's called Preserving Progress. And this gentleman who's writing this article rises to defend John Federman. And he says, look, what Federman's accusers call betrayal is the political pragmatism necessary to win over people preferring the opposition. In competitive electoral regions, leaders who can win elections need room to exercise independent judgment, provided their priority is the party's success, lest they become too pure for the broad coalition they built. Federman represents a large Trump-won swing state. I haven't seen evidence Federman has risked success for his party in Pennsylvania by taking popular positions, and nor will you, because his priority is winning elections in a purple state. Do Federman's accusers prioritize total alignment from all of their party members or electoral competitiveness in all 50 states? Because the stubborn facts show that these two priorities cannot be reconciled. Pursuing ideological purity undermines competitiveness, while prioritizing competitiveness requires tolerance of deviation. One can argue Federman deviates from his party. Nobody will contend that. He will not contend that. However, it isn't evidence of betrayal, but of loyalty to the goal of democratic competitiveness. So what he's saying in this article is John Federman might be the key who could save the Democrat Party. The reason why is because he represents what I think an awful lot of Republicans appreciate. Can we work together? Can we ever do that again? Have we crossed that bridge and can't get back on the other side? Is it going to be all Democrats, whatever is anti-Trump, whatever is anti-MAGA, whatever we want, they're against, even if it's sanity, especially if it's sanity, especially if it's common sense? I look at John Federman as being this standout sore thumb on Capitol Hill, who's also the standout sore thumb within his party. He represents the guy who hasn't gone totally off the cliff. He's the guy who's not hook, line, and sinker. Whatever they want, I will do. He's the guy who represents that last vestige of democratic common sense, and they want to bury him for it. What they should is embrace him and make sure they reelect him, because they're going to need Democrat John Federman. The Republicans would never make a play for him. He will never go there. But wouldn't that just be the kick in the pants? The guy to save the party is the one the party wants to destroy. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, if America wasn't on a fast track to destruction, it might actually be kind of funny. What's more important to safeguard, bottles or ballots? The voter ID conundrum for the state of Connecticut. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. He's I don't know. He's such an interesting case study. My own personal bias notwithstanding, and I've been biased as stones. Biased. Thank you and good night. I was toast. I was like, oh, Jesus. Brock and I were on the phone, I think on the phone watching that together. And we
Not
were like,
that one.
That's right. I fell asleep during Joe Biden's debate. It was so bad. Oh, my gosh. This is delicious. This Nitro XL. So anyway, as we were talking about CBS News Radio, if you don't have sponsors because you don't have an audience that's supporting your sponsors, you don't have money, you don't survive, which is why your grace with all of our sponsors, and how many of you rattle off the names of the sponsors that you've supported, not to mention buying our merchandise. The phone doesn't ring for me without you. It just doesn't. So I feel deeply indebted to you and extraordinarily grateful for you. Thank you. Oh, look, we're breaking the internet. 726 people on X. That's big. There was a while there where we were getting like 11 because of some weird algorithm. Did we ever figure out what Twitter was doing where all of the numbers were wonky?
Like they changed their algorithm
to
not put live shows in your actual feed.
Oh.
And they
make it hard for you to find us. So unless you're actively searching, it's not going to pop up in your feed.
I remember the Federman debate because I went down to the cigar shop to watch it because there was a liberal who wanted to watch it with me.
Oh, okay.
Right. Mm-hmm. I says, yeah, sure. I'll meet you down there. And we're sitting there. And when he said hello and good night, the guy next to me went, oh, jeez. And I'm like, and we were texting back and forth. He's like, oh. Turns, looks at me, goes, you have every right to not vote for John Federman. He's like, I don't know if I can vote for him.
My husband, the doctor, he was offended that Federman was the candidate, not because of his politics, but because of his health. Mm-hmm. He's like a guy who has a defibrillator, who has the problems that he has medically, should be on disability.
Yeah, the stress.
And they should not. And he was angry. Why would his doctors allow him to, why? And it's just like a totally different perspective. I was like, okay. But yeah, I was outraged because I thought he was a moron. And then maybe I'm the moron, Remember when they went after Dasha Burns for commenting on his inability to chit chat? Well, that's part of the brain that was damaged,
right.
And they're like, wow, that's ableist. And it's like, wow, you guys are so gross. The media is so gross. Right?
They did everything to prop him up.
Everything. Factual, actual. Look at you guys, still 5,400. I love you. Are we close to getting 3?
Mm-mm.
And it's so insulting of your intelligence, of your common sense, of what we're really up against in this country. I mean, in the state of Connecticut, you need a photo identification, a driver's license or something, if you're going to go to the recycling place and get money back for the cans and the bottles that you've collected. You need a photo ID to cash in on that transaction. However, in Connecticut, the senators don't think you should have photo identification to prove who you are in our federal elections because, well, you know why. It's so stupid. Headline New York Post, Connecticut Dems demand IDs to recycle cans, but reject GOP efforts to verify citizenship at the polls. We're not even dancing around the obvious push by the left. Everybody knows they need to cheat. Everybody knows they cheat, they steal, they tax. They lie, they coerce, they propagandize, rinse, repeat. Then they go after their political enemies and they create something as a smokescreen. Every couple of years, there's some giant story that really wasn't with some scapegoat who really isn't, right? Because they're the ones who need to find a way to rip you off and lie to you so that they can stay in power. January 6th was garbage. Right? The stolen election, everybody with half of a brain understands, and yet you have people like Dick Blumenthal who stand up and say ICE agents at the airport are going to rip children away from their parents and shoot and terrorize and kill people. Like, in what world is that okay? Because you know who doesn't do that? John Federman. Period. Now, if given an opportunity as a Pennsylvanian to vote for a Republican over John Federman, hells yeah, I would. But it makes me think a little bit, doesn't it? So Connecticut Democrats demand IDs to go recycle cans and get cash back, but not to vote. Got it. Connecticut Democrats recently rushed through an emergency anti-fraud law requiring bottle redemption centers to collect a copy of a person's driver's license when they cash in more than 1,000 cans or bottles in a day, a document demand that Republicans say undercuts the party's attacks on voter ID rules. I hate when it's so cut and dry, but it's so freaking cut and dry. It's like everything Epstein. If they had anything on freaking Epstein, they would have railroaded him before he came down the freaking golden escalator. Right? It's like everything Bob Mueller. Oh, he's such a great guy. No, he was an architect of the greatest coup in American history. Earlier this month, an emergency certification bill, SB 299, was introduced by top Democrat leaders in the state's legislature, Connecticut again. It was later passed in both chambers in late February. It was signed by Governor Ned Lamont, a Democrat, on March 3rd. It requires people wishing to recycle cans for money to present a copy of their driver's license, put in place because the state has had issues with non-residents crossing their border to take advantage of its higher return rate of 10 cents a can instead of 5 cents. The issue was reportedly causing the state to lose significant revenue. Oh, the many parallels we could jump off of that trampoline and chew on. Yes. Meanwhile, the state does not require its residents to present a driver's license or some other form of formal identification. Instead, residents wishing to vote simply have to attest under penalty of the law that they are a citizen of the United States. Well, why would anybody lie? It's against the law to lie. Nobody would do that. That's so dumb. Why would anybody vote in our elections if they weren't an American citizen? That's a felony. Don't they realize that could be right? This is just one of those dippy. I mean, it's literally so dumb. The point we've come to, the Democrats have no other. What do they have? The war is about to be over with Iran. We will have set back their nuclear everything. You've got the Middle Eastern countries who want to jump in bed with us because they know we are the protectors of the planet. You've got NATO allies in Europe saying, oh, fudge, we blew this one. We don't have a nuclear umbrella like the United States. We better get off our duffs and start patrolling the Strait of Hormuz, which, by the way, we need, not the president, right? What else do we have? We've got Mark Wayne Mullen about to cross the finish line. We've got House or Senate Republicans considering growing a pair and doing one of something that's of benefit for the American people. What do they have left on the left? Some kind of unforeseen calamity? I hope not. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging out with us today. Doesn't it go so fast? I know, right? Wendy Bell Radio. Download our app, get the podcast, come back tomorrow. Love you guys. Thanks for being a part of this. Peace.